I'm everyone and no one. Everywhere. Nowhere. Call me Podcast Man.
So, also the last line of the movie?
Last line. I did.
Okay.
An episode that won't come out.
Don't want
for
to
a couple more
spoil,
weeks.
but yeah, you pulled this trick again with a future ep.
Now, here's the reason why.
It's a good line.
It's a good line. It's also not my favorite line in the movie. It's not my favorite line on this quotes page. The other ones I can't. I'm going to say this. I never said this before. I could not possibly disrupt the sanctity, the perfection of a line.
Such as a line like,
Take the fucking elephant.
yeah, it's a good line.
Right. Or, I'm sorry, what's the other one here? What is it?
Maybe I should be wearing a silly little hat.
Yeah,
That hat rules.
that is,
I
that
took
is good.
note and I was like, tin hat rusted. Good.
Well, it's just a funnel. He's wearing a funnel like the fucking tin. Man.
It's
Yeah,
the
I
Wizard of
know.
Oz. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Ben, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a big part of this episode.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to imagine you're whipping open the notebook and jotting down fashion ideas every scene of this.
Ben, you've
Absolutely.
never seen this film, I'm assuming.
No, I can't believe it.
We've been
'cause it's
hyping it up to
extremely
you.
my shit.
We've been hyping
Holy
Darkman up.
fuck.
I just feel like
a
that.
lot of rags, a lot of
That's
a lot
true.
Of
Trench
wet,
coats,
rags,
rags,
dirty
and
clothes,
bandages.
old fucking 90s tech shit, you know?
That's true.
Yes.
Weird wireframe, but also just good henchmen.
Good.
That's
for
who are
days.
swagged out.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it right before we started recording, David. A lot of bad guys in this thing. And that sounds like a stupid statement, but then you watch the movie and you're like, this thing does. It is.
But
It
it's like
opens with bad guys, right?
It's like
yeah.
a sampler assortment of bad guys too,
Yes.
because they're all dressed a little differently.
Yeah.
Some of them have long hair. Some of them look like your typical European mercenaries in suits. Some of them are like bald, ruffians. It's great.
You have man with a gun leg.
Gunleg Man. I want to talk about Gunleg Man later.
Can I just
This is
speed around a
great.
couple more lines here?
Sure.
You have been a very bad boy.
And as IMDb says, punching on each word in brackets.
Right.
But here's like a line that just speaks to, I think, the skill of this movie, right? And I will attribute this to Raimi, to all his collaborators, and to Neeson knowing exactly how to thread the needle on this performance. A very specific, very difficult performance to execute properly within this movie. That this movie is able to properly sell, what is it about the dark? What secret does it hold?
Right.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're absolutely right. At the same time, my question is, did it properly sell it, I guess, to a mass audience? I guess the movie did well.
It did well.
But were people
Well,
walking out of
Durant
that
was
being
able
like,
to return.
He
only a couple
returned-
years
Durant
later.
returned.
Durant came back, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, Durant
But like,
does return.
that's what I would love to know, because
Yeah.
I was too little to see this movie.
Right.
And like, when I caught it years later, I feel like I'd probably already seen Spider-Man or
Yeah.
at least The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So I sort of knew, like, yeah, I know what Sam Raimi's
Sure.
deal is. Right. But like, were people just like, Darkman, sure, is he like Batman? Let's go see it.
I
Going
think
to
so.
see it and walking out and being like, that was crazy. Or were they just like, yeah, it was fun? Because it's just so tonally
It's wild
specific.
and it's very tonally specific. But just think about it. I think this is so much of this movie's legacy.
Yeah.
This is this weird post-Batman run of like, we want pulp heroes,
Yeah,
right?
The radio hero.
I was going to ask about that. This is post
It's
the
post
first
Burton Batman.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. 'Cause
It's
It's very,
only a
obviously very
ye-
Batman adjacent. It's like,
It's
how
in
can
be-
we get Big Batman without
Absolutely.
needing the intellectual property?
Yeah. But there is that weird feeding frenzy. I mean, I think Raimi wanted to do Batman, could never get close to it. And then wanted to do The Shadow is the big part of the origin of this movie, and met with them several times for that. And then our old
They
friend
made
Bobby
the right
Z.
decision because the Shadow fucking ruled when
Oh.
they made it.
Sure.
Really? Are you
I don't know. Actually, maybe this
Russell
might be one
Mulcahy?
where
Yeah, wait, Chris.
I'm kind of joking, not joking. I don't know,
Okay, yeah,
actually.
I
I don't
wanna-
even know what I mean.
I want to
when
just
say
jump
that.
in on your behalf and say, like, The Shadow, I've listened to it, and it's like,
Oh, you're saying you've listened to the OG
The old radio
Shadow?
show?
yeah. That shit, like, because like my grandpa, or like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, my grandpa was like, "You're gonna love this."
On
And
the wireless, your grandpa made you listen to The Shadow?
We're astonished. I'm astonished that you have
heard the
extensive
original
memories of listening to countless episodes of The Shadow.
Yeah, and I was like a kid with ADD, and I just was like,
Yeah.
"What is this?"
That doesn't
Like,
strike
I
me.
cannot
point.
sit still.
Well,
Right,
this was the thing. So Batman, because it was so like Burton doubled down on this sort of like 30s Art Deco, pulp hero, radio serial kind of vibe to it.
Mm.
When that movie's successful, people aren't like more superheroes. They're like more things like this. So then it leads to Rocketeer, Dick Tracy, Shadow. And I think when you're talking about like what was the audience response to this movie, David?
Yeah.
Those 3 movies were so hyped up, so
Right.
much more expensive than this was,
Yeah.
and had bigger stars. And I think all 3 of them were viewed as
Disappointment.
serious disappointment.
But of course, this movie probably made about as much as those movies
Exactly.
did, right?
But
They all topped out around the same.
the
spot.
difference is this is the
Right.
only one that exceeded
Of course,
expectations.
because it was
Yeah.
made on a budget.
This is
Yeah,
a-
that's
this is
so
a
I think
plucky
it
little
had
movie,
goodwill.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Say again?
this is a plucky movie. Because
Ooh.
I
it
admit
is
that
plucky.
when I talk to you guys about, I try to finagle my way back into the main feed here.
The door's
You
always
just gotta
open,
ask.
my friend. All you got to do
Dude,
is
you were
ask.
on the main feed last year. Right? What did you do? You did Zemeckis.
Allied?
Allied.
Allied.
Right.
The great Allied debate of 2021.
We're,
That was 2021. Was it?
Right? I don't
Jesus.
know.
It was. It was.
Don't
it
tell.
was.
Don't. Yeah,
Right?
it was 2020. It was January 2021 though. So it's been more than a year since you've been on the main feed.
Okay.
So
right.
I'm actually sorry for being
Back
dismissive.
on the main feed.
Back on the main
You're
feed.
back.
I was canceled into the Patreon for a
Absolutely
while.
not. Absolutely not. Look, this is Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
It's a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and sometimes and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever creates passion projects they want.
Wow.
Almost lost the thread there.
Oh,
Sometimes
Only-
those checks clear, and sometimes they go.
Into the darkness, baby.
very true.
It's a miniseries on the films of Sam Raimi.
Yep.
It's called Podcast Me to Hell.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about his first studio film
For Universal Pictures.
and his first superhero movie.
Yeah.
A
It
thing
is.
that becomes a weirdly big part of his career.
True.
But an odd version of a superhero
But
movie.
also kind of also a Universal monster movie.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
right.
there are like 5 different interesting things in the soup with this movie. It's called Darkman.
Wait, I just am realizing now, is he considered like close to the dark universe?
He should have been leading it. This
I
is the
know.
biggest problem. Is Universal should have said, obviously we have our classic stable of monsters, but let's officially induct Darkman.
There's a
in.
new monster in town. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, do you bring Neeson back? Do you say like,
Yes, let
hey,
him-
Neeson's hot?
Let him be the elder statesman. We were just talking about this, how the Warner Brothers movies are now bringing Keaton Batman back to be like elder statesman, Nick Fury, tie it together. Have Darkman be the guy like,
I'm putting together a team.
From what I,
I'm a monster
I'm a monster.
with other monsters.
Give me the fucking elephant.
I was just looking up the synopsis of Darkman 3, Darkman Die.
another incredible title.
Great title.
Yeah.
And it does end with him continuing to be Darkman. I was like, did they like close the loop?
Kill him,
Did they
right,
tie
no.
it off? Did he?
Mhm.
No.
Right.
He doesn't. He's like, no, I'm still Darkman. I'll see you later.
I think I was reading they did a TV show pilot too that didn't go, but they were
Sure.
like gonna just keep this thing fucking moving.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure there must have been someone who floated like an animated series. It's just like, but the whole thing with this movie, obviously, is it's not for children.
No, but this is an era where you have
You
like
did
the
have
fucking RoboCop,
The
cartoon, the
R-rated
Rambo
things
cartoon.
sometimes, right, being marketed
Darkman,
to
that would have been a
kids.
very easy transition to just Man of 1,000 Faces, and he's a little less haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, another thing you didn't mention, this isn't radio, but The Saint had that vibe
Yes.
as well. Like a lot of those 90s action movies that were kind of like throwbacky.
The Phantom's the last one.
The Phantom being probably the last one.
Right, in this
Yeah.
wave. And then by that point, we're like a couple years away from just earnest superhero revival.
From X-Men.
which
yeah.
then hits its apex with Raimi. Like there's just such
I mean,
an
for
interesting
sure.
90 to 2002 sort of arc to this. Our guest today is Chris Weitz, back on the main feed where he belongs.
Thank you
The great
very
Chris
much.
Weitz.
Great to be here. And like I say, yeah, I edged my way back in, and I
No
didn't.
edge.
Because, and when you offered up Darkman, I
You
said,
asked for Darkman, my friend.
David told me you put a chip down.
Yeah.
Did
mean-
you say Darkman?
You were very excited to do Darkman.
I was excited to do Darkman, but I'm going to be honest with
I
you.
think I told you Raimi, and you
Sure.
were like, Darkman.
I was excited to get back in. I want to be back in the game.
I understand.
And I
always
remembered
open.
it.
The
I
door
re-
is always
I
open.
remembered it being on pretty constant rotation on either HBO or Cinemax when I was a kid.
Sure,
but I hadn't seen it
absolutely.
since. And
Okay.
so, in part, I was worried I was going to watch it again and think that it was not good. But actually, it was good.
It fucking rips.
It was really, really fun.
It's really fun, and you watch this, and it does make you question, what are all these fucking big movies doing today?
Right.
Like there's just something about the economy of this thing, the
Mhm.
focus of this thing,
the
but also
emotion.
the
like-
emotion, the visual inventiveness.
Yep.
And it's like he did this for
The short
$15
length.
million.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get
Yeah,
out
yeah.
in under 90 minutes. Why aren't we doing this?
And now, it's 96 whole minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This thing is saggy. Joking. Yeah, but it's 96 minutes. We'll see. It's in our notes, but
That's why I was getting confused.
Universal was like, the movie has to be over 90 minutes, and he was like, I really like an 85-minute movie. And Universal was like, 90 minutes, God damn it, minimum.
It was in his contract. Raimi's like, I think all movies should be under 90 minutes. And Universal was like, don't go pulling this fucking 82-minute shit on us.
We need to be able to sell it to
sorry.
Hungarian television so that they can, put in enough ads or whatever the hell it is.
I want to clarify. They demanded between 95 and 105. So him putting it 96 is being like, I just edged it over for you. All right, guys? Like, yeah.
But also, I mean, we'll get to it. The story of this movie's editing process is wild. The final fucking story that JJ put in the dossier is unbelievable.
Did you know there's a video game?
I did.
For the NES.
So, and there's one for Game Boy. I've been playing vintage Game Boy recently.
Yeah.
And I immediately was like, I want to fucking play the Darkman game. Like $200.
Well, this is the thing with these cartridges these days. If the game wasn't a hit, they can be hard to find.
Because I'm shopping, I'm getting like vintage cartridges a lot. Darkman's up.
This game looks good.
It looks good. It got good fucking reviews.
Are you opening the boxed vintage cartridges, therefore destroying their value and playing them? Which I would admire.
I buy loose vintage cartridges.
Okay.
I don't even because I have that.
Yeah, you're gonna overpay if you want the box.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, damn, you're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you.
Let me tell you what kind of guy Griff
hold
is.
on to say, hold on. You're cool as hell.
Thank you. Thank you.
I bet you would even open a box though, because you just don't give a fun.
I would. No, this is the thing, because all the dumb shit I collect. Sometimes the best way to get it is in box, and I always feel like an asshole when I rip it and throw it in the garbage and don't give a shit.
This brings me to my first round. I just messed up because I promised. The other day I was listening to the blank check, as I often do, out loud in the morning while making breakfast for my children.
Oh no!
And my daughter Athena, age 6, said, "Why do you listen to those guys who say the F word and the SH word?"
Oh, the SH word.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, well, listen, sometimes people use bad words, but they're still good people. It's all about context, right?
That's true.
Connoisseurs of context.
We are connoisseurs of swearing context.
And today, as I said, I'm going to go and record this episode of Blank Check. And Athena said, with the guys who say those words, and I said, yes, but you know what? I'm going to promise you that I'm not going to say those words.
And you've already broken your solemn promise.
Bleep it. For the first time in Blank Check
No,
history.
God, no.
Anytime Chris curses, just drop in a little bleep.
I mean, Ben,
put it in the episode
that's
notes.
work
You can
for Ben.
decline.
You can already tell he's like,
I don't know.
no,
it in
it's
the
okay.
notes.
No, keep to your standards. It's all right. Listen, this is me. This is my problem. My problem. Ben doesn't have to clean up after
I understand
me.
you want to set an example for your daughter.
No, give me a time code and then I'll do some. I'll cough or I'll say something like sugar when I'm about to say.
Actually,
it.
that's perfect. Let's get some ADR lines. Okay.
So Chris, you just want to do a run of just nice words.
Yeah. Right now, sugar, fun, fudge,
Christmas.
Shasta, Christmas. Oh, am I going to say a C word? I don't think so. Jeez.
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. Donuts. I don't know. Oh yeah, donuts.
Yeah, I think that's a good option.
Yeah, I think we've got some stuff there. We'll definitely, use that if we
I
need
feel like-
to. But I have faith.
I'm going to
you're
be
not
more
gonna
careful.
slip.
I'm gonna
Is
be
your
more careful
daughter
now.
the youngest?
She's the youngest.
When you're the third, you're hearing all the words.
She's got a. I know she's
right?
got a,
It's all in the air at that point.
I've told the Austin Powers story with my sister before, right?
Probably.
We were on like family vacation. Austin Powers 3 had come out. My sister was 5, and my dad just wanted to see it.
Right.
And we didn't have a babysitter. We're on vacation or whatever. And he was like, "We'll take Romilly." And my mom was like, "She's 5." And he said, "There's nothing in that she hasn't heard before."
right.
She's 5. There's a lot she hadn't heard. She's a city kid, but there's a lot she hadn't heard.
Yeah,
Right?
5 years old.
Had she heard, yeah, baby.
She hadn't, and that ruined her. One of the final jokes in that movie is they go to the premiere of Austin Pussy, another word she had never heard before. Austin
Right.
Pussy, no
Well, not in that
space,
context,
Sure.
compound word, right?
Right.
They go to the premiere of the movie within the movie in which Tom Cruise is playing Austin Powers. And at the end, everyone cheers. And there's a guy who stands up and he's like, Austin. And they're like, "Who's that?" It's Fat Bastard, and he's lost all the weight.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So the skin is hanging off him or
His
whatever.
skin's
right?
hanging off. He's wearing like a t-shirt, and he's just got skin hanging off of him. And he's like, "You look great." He's like, "Thank you. I feel so good. My neck looks like a vagina, though."
Right.
He says that. My sister's favorite saying for 2 years. 2
So
years.
not only had she not heard that, but she was like,
She knew it had a
I am
charge.
picking
Joke.
this up. I'm picking it up.
She understood the human body. She
No,
understood that
I'm just
joke.
saying, like,
Right.
your dad was so wrong.
She picked it up.
She wasn't
so-
just scandalized or whatever. She also was like, I'll be saying this.
It's truly
now.
like friends would come over for dinner and they'd be like, Mommy, do you want to say hello? And she'd go like, my neck looks like a vagina.
Classic.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
what
I'm saying. You know, the youngest
Yeah.
kid is. just
I know
always
she's grown up in a world full of challenging things.
Well, a world of Darkman. I mean, this.
A world of Darkman.
Yep.
Yeah.
What lurks in the shadows?
No, that's
That's the
shadow.
shadows, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the shadow knows what lurks
In the heart
hearts
of men.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I fucked this.
What
Is that his
evil-
power?
I don't
His
know.
His nose changes shape, I believe,
Right,
also
he does
to make
have
him
a
look
facial
different.
transformation thing, right?
The power of
But it's like who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The
Right.
shadow knows. Right?
Yeah.
That was the introductory line to the radio show, and it became like the tagline for the movie
Right.
or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what's his power.
It is funny that all those other movies, by the way, post Batman,
He can become invisible. That makes sense. He's
Sure.
the shadow.
But Chris is right. There was a thing in that movie where fucking Baldwin wore a fake nose, and it wasn't just like for one scene. Part
He-
of his transformation,
He
right?
does well. Yeah, he doesn't have to put it on. It is weirdly some magical thing about him.
When he
It's the
puts
Clark
the
Kent
scarf
thing, right?
on.
Which is
Right.
like they got around
He
that.
goes.
by saying
I
he
see.
actually
He goes
appears-
to like Tibet,
Yeah,
and he learns some sort of Tibetan powers.
right. There's an Eastern mysticism to
Right.
Shadow.
I'm sure this
Yeah.
would all go over great now.
Great.
The villain arrives in New York inside Genghis Khan's sarcophagus. The villain is played by John Lone.
Right.
Ian McKellen is in
too.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Peter
this is-
Boyle.
This is a movie that would go over incredibly well if it was released today.
Right.
John
Obviously,
Lone, I miss John Lone.
John
Yeah.
Lone, a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he not with us?
No, he
I don't know.
He
is,
just
but
doesn't seem to
he's-
appear in
he's-
things as
kind of
much as he used
retired.
to.
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah.
Honestly, his last big performance is he was in the Jason Statham Jet Li movie War.
Really?
That's his last performance.
Weird.
It is weird. I agree. Great actor. So good in The Last Emperor and many other things.
All those movies did the marketing.
Butterfly.
They tried to do the marketing thing that Batman did, where you could just put the poster out that was just the fucking symbol, and
It's a
people lost their
logo.
minds.
It's a
Mm.
face.
Right.
It's a very clear symbol.
Like
right.
Shadow did that, and Dick Tracy did that with his silhouette. And Rocketeer was just sort of like, what is this illustration?
I mean, the
of this
Rocketeer
guy?
poster
Incredible.
is a beautiful poster. Do you like the Rocketeer?
I do like the Rocketeer.
Another
and I
movie,
do think it's a good poster.
People really stick up for that movie. I have not seen it in so long.
Good movie.
But I
The
imagine
poster's
I would still
incredible.
like it. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Art Deco-y poster,
I mean, the
very
comic
cool.
was beautifully drawn.
But
man.
all of them
My
had this
God.
attitude of, you're supposed to know who this is. Like, you should be excited seeing this image. Darkman had a famous and very successful marketing campaign that was the exact opposite, where the tagline was, who is Darkman?
Who is Darkman?
Right, and it worked. It was like all these other
In like a
movies
more
were coming
innocent
out-
time. Like
I know.
to say
It-
that now, I'd be like, I don't care
Right,
because there's
well-
so many bits of content coming at me constantly.
Yes.
I don't
do
have time to
think-
wonder this.
They did a good job nabbing Darkman. How had no one ever done that before?
What a good fucking
Because it is a pretty
name.
good name. It's simple.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's grabby.
yeah.
Darkman.
Darkman. And
It's
you
dark.
ask, who is he? And I'm like, I don't know, but I want to find out.
Well, find out this summer.
Oh, okay.
In 1990.
Yeah.
The summer of 1990.
I just think it's funny they did the exact opposite approach of everyone else with a character that actually didn't exist before,
Mm.
and everyone not everyone, but people leaned in.
I agree with
They
you, but
weren't
I do again want to just add the caveat.
They
of
all made the
all
exact
these
same
movies
amount
made
of
the same amount of money.
Right.
It's just that Darkman was cheaper.
This is just the only one that made a profit.
It did, but I would say that there was a general audience level of interest in these kinds of movies, which was somewhat,
Yeah.
you know, and then like eventually someone is like, you know what? Comic books have sold en masse for 40
Yeah.
years. Maybe we should just like do comic book movies
But
and
the
not
other-
couch it
Sure.
in this stuff or
Let's
whatever.
just
Yeah.
say though, like the fucking marketing blitz of Dick Tracy,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that movie did a lot better, to be clear. That movie was a genuine hit.
But also lost money.
It underwhelmed because of its colossal budget, but that
Yes.
movie did triple whatever any other movie we're talking
But
about.
you
It
also
made
had
so
like,
much money.
a year of the media yelling at people like, "This is important." There's an album.
Yeah,
You know, there's an entire
it,
Dick
it was
Tracy
it was
tour.
it was one of the most famous actors of all time, the biggest pop star of all time. The
Right.
score was written by Stephen Sondheim.
Yes.
It was a huge movie. It cost a fortune. It
Right.
made a lot of money. Had a video game.
It's got fucking Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino.
Do you like Dick Tracy, the Beatty movie?
It's been so long since I've seen it. I don't recall caring about it.
You
like, at
should
all.
check it out.
Okay.
It's the best.
Really?
There's this guy. He's got like a really flat head.
Yeah.
top.
What's he called?
Flat top.
I mean, such a good poster.
But yeah, but this is what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're saying like they were like,
There's also this guy.
sell them on minimal, sell them
Right.
on, logo alone. What?
And people just tilted their head and went, "What?" And who is Darkman? They went, "Yeah, that's the question I'm asking. We're on the same page with this."
There's only
poster."
one way to find out. Put down my money, sit in a theater.
Exactly.
I know. Come on. You see
Can't ask
this?
anybody who saw it.
Ben,
You don't want to see this?
flat top.
Hell
Look at that. Do you see the tagline?
Eat lead copper.
That's pretty good.
William Forsythe was
Yes,
flat.
that's right.
Cool.
Here's a question, though. It just
Yeah.
occurred to me lately. And I'm sorry if this is provocative, but do sometimes you guys like movies not because necessarily of their inherent qualities, but because of their strangeness or oddness in
If a
context?
movie-
Sometimes, absolutely.
If a movie,
Right.
especially with years removed, you're sort of like, this was such a unique object that obviously
Right.
you and I have these conversations a lot. I would say when you're like, well, David, do you really like this? Like where we're talking about, you maybe have just rewatched something.
I'm
that
sometimes
I'm a
wondering, do
fan
you like
of.
it as a cultural object?
Right,
And,
right,
in its historical context.
But I mean, no,
Something.
Dick Tracy rules. It's so good.
Okay.
I see. I
I'm in.
will.
It
I
looks
will
so
lean
good.
towards more fascination as a cultural object. I don't think that movie works dramatically. It looks incredible, but I look forward to doing an episode on it someday. I'm maybe a
Absolutely.
little more fascinated by that one as an object than as a movie. But I think it goes both ways. I don't know. I was talking to David yesterday about Masters of the Universe
Mhm.
because I do the voice on the cartoon show, and I was like trying to explain a character to him. And anytime I talk about this thing, he's like, I don't care about this fucking action figure line, whatever. But then I was like explaining a character backstory to him, and the speed at which David pulled up the like He-Man wiki and was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
lore. Like
Yeah.
he just liked that there was lore.
I just like
Right.
exactly. I
He
just
said
like
that. He
knowing
was
about.
I like that there is a backstory here. And
David is sometimes shockingly quick on the Google or
It's
the
incredible.
Wikipedia. I'm amazed.
Listen how fast he's typing. No, but sometimes I do think I look at things like that and I'm like, Dick Tracy's marketing campaign was wide enough that they had a character teaser poster just for Flat Top.
Eat lead
I
copper.
like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I
That
like
makes
that
me
that
happy.
happened.
Darkman, no character posters.
Well,
Obviously,
he is the character. on the
well,
poster.
I don't know.
Durant.
I'd see a
Once
Durant
again,
character
don't forget
poster.
the
Lyric
uh,
strike
What
is
about
iconic figure of Durant.
Eddie Black? That guy pops.
sure.
Oh, but
like
you could have
Eddie
used
Black.
the first line because he's a donut. Because he's a donut, right? Not
Yeah.
because. That's the first line of the movie, which I kind of admired for. It's just
It's punch in the face.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you feel about Sam Raimi, Chris?
Yeah, let's talk
In
General
general,
Raimi.
on general.
I actually kind of love Sam Raimi
Yeah.
for his idiosyncrasy, right? I think Simple Plan was kind of a great movie.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
I think here's where I'm just going to get myself in trouble.
Do it.
I do not think that, Jesus Christ, I'm about to say this. I do not think The Evil Dead is a good movie.
Look, I've had other filmmakers say this to me.
We're not going to out them.
No.
Other people have said this.
Where they're like, I don't like that movie. I don't like those movies. Actually, one person I was talking to was I actually kind of came around on one, but was like, I still can't stand two. I guess because it's so plotless and silly.
I think there's some great gags in it and some
course.
wonderful invention and obviously like what they're doing with so little. But I also do think that there's some sort of genre elements that are rather sort of unenthusiastically delivered.
Hmm.
And I think that there's some.
So you don't like
some
any
shots
of the three? Have you seen all three Evil Deads
Oh Christ!
over the years?
I'm really fucking painting myself in a corner here. I've only seen the first one, and this was just to get up to
You've
speed
never
for this
seen
one.
Evil
Wow.
Dead
I'm
2?
No, and I'm excited to see that in Army
I
of
would check
Darkness,
out
and I'm
Evil
really
Dead.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone out
No,
there.
my feeling is Army of Darkness might be the one that you like the best.
It's based on the trailer and snippets I've seen here and there. I think
Yeah.
I might. Yeah.
Have you seen The Quick and the Dead? Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe,
I
Cowboys.
have not.
Might
You know
enjoy
why?
that.
And I'll tell you why. Actually,
A lot of people
because
haven't seen that movie.
early on in my career, when I was, I think my brother and I were pitching something, and somebody said, "You know what? Like this is just not working." And you need to see a movie called The Quick and the Dead, which we're making right now.
Wow.
because that really like works.
Wait,
I was like,
were you pitching a Western? Like, were you pitching something
no,
adjacent?
it was just like some
was just
some
like, I'll
executive
tell you what
just like
movie's good.
slamming us, right?
They're like, you suck, and this is a good
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm working on a movie right now called The Quick and the Dead. And you guys, you want to know like the way to do these things, you got to watch that.
How
So,
do you
on some
like
level-
he was being helpful?
Yeah, he's trying to help me.
Yeah.
It's true.
How
But
do
so
you
you
feel?
didn't see the movie almost out of spite because you're
You're
A
like,
little
well,
bit.
what guy
Well,
told
out of
Yeah.
trauma, maybe.
No,
pain?
I get it. Yeah.
Oh, actually, this reminds me of another story, which is okay. I'm going to hit you with some True Hollywood stories.
Please.
Springlet here. I know that we've got like only so much time here.
No.
But I remember once I was in, we were sort of pitching, my brother and I, this is early on, and this guy pitched us something back, which is this idea, and he says, it's about this kid who falls overboard into the water, and there's a pack of whales, and he survives because the whales kind of keep him above water, and he like eats the barnacles or something, and so he survives, and then he becomes this champion Olympic swimmer.
Okay.
And this is the best part. He says it was based on a true story, I think. And I was like, and I was sitting there thinking, I don't think that's based on a true story.
I think if that's based on a true story, I might have heard of it.
Yeah,
But also the confidence of that's based on a true story, I think.
yeah. It's like I think you're an idiot.
Now wait, I have a follow up though, and I don't know if you I don't know if you have the answer to this, but did he speak whale?
Boy.
Oh,
Was he
the guy in the movie, he does. He can
Yeah.
do
He can
that,
summon
yes.
whales.
Speak to
Right.
the
But the thing is, he's very as he lives with the whales, right? He's kind of raised by whales. He acquires a lot of blubber, right? So he's not like super fit. He looks like a very fat man. And yet, when he comes to compete against Olympic swimmers, he's just destroying them.
He's like a human whale.
Because of his barnacle
Yeah.
power.
Wow.
He's a human whale.
Wow.
He just moves his body in such a way
Right.
that he's faster than anyone who's ever been in the
I
water.
think that's based on a true story.
So I think that's based on a true
Yeah,
story.
I'm pretty sure that's
So you think you like A Simple Plan? Obviously, that's
I do.
I
I think it's
is-
a wonderful movie.
Have you seen For Love of the Game? His baseball movie.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have. That's the one. Is
Costner's
that
pitching a
yes,
perfect
yes.
game.
Yeah.
And he injures his hand.
Yes.
I forgot that's a Raimi movie. Okay,
Everyone
interesting.
forgets that one.
Yes.
Wow. Yes, he injures his hand, and Kelly Preston, I
Kelly
believe.
Preston.
There's a moment where he's flying off in a helicopter. And he's like, "I need my trainer guy. There's no space for Kelly Preston right now."
That
Right.
classic Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
Do you take your trainer guy or Kelly Preston? We've all been in that position.
50-50. How about The Gift? Do you like
Uh,
The Gift? Kate Blanchett. Murder
A
mystery
Billy Bob
with
Thornton
psychic.
scripted
Yes.
supernatural thriller.
Do not remember. I'm sorry.
How do you feel about the Spider-Man film?
Did
I like
He made
this-
3 of them.
I like the Spooderman films very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do very, very much.
And then Drag
I
Me to
can
Hell?
remember actually going with Nick Holt when he when we
Baby
were shooting
Holt.
about
Yes.
a boy.
Teen
Yeah.
Holt.
We went to Spider-Man to get. I thought there was a Spider-Man.
That makes sense because it's 2002.
No, yeah, it was Spider-Man.
Yeah,
right.
the first
Which one is
one.
where Bonesaw is in it, and it goes,
Yes.
"Bonesaw is ready."
That's
is
the
that
first one.
That's the first one. So
Nowhere.
I took Nick Holt.
Get ready
to,
for a full
to
Oh,
I was
Spider-Man.
excited.
And we had a whale of a time.
You had
Hey.
a whale of a time, a barnacle of a time.
Did you look at Nick Holt and you're like, someday you're gonna test for every one of these fucking movies?
Someday
You'll
you'll
do
be,
like 3, but
I
you're
don't
also going to be
know.
shortlisted on an additional 10.
Someday, yes, this will be a fun part of your life, no doubt. Which is like
See
going
those
down the
prosthetics?
funnel
This will
too.
be
You'll have those, but then it'll get more and more CGI.
They'll
over
pick
the
and
years.
choose, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Someday this will be the only viable path to being a young leading man in the studio system.
And then Drag Me to Hell. I mean, we don't need to talk about Oz the Great and Powerful, but Drag Me to Hell is the other
I have not seen Drag Me to Hell. I
good
feel
movie. I think you'd like it.
I feel like now, like I've just been interrogated, and
No,
I'm
we're
sorry,
just
I'm
asking.
coming short.
I was literally
in,
just
in,
actually-
in the eyes of
No.
blankies everywhere, and I
Who
apologize.
do you think you are,
yeah,
Chris?
how dare you cast judgment on Sam Raimi?
No. Dark-
Xena, were you a big Xena
Xena,
guy?
yeah. I didn't sort of watch it with like religiously, but I approve of it. I
Mm.
really do. I think like great pulpy, fun awesomeness, and I like Bruce Campbell, who's obviously Raimi adjacent. So
It's kind of crazy that they never rebooted Xena. I know they have talked about it.
Yeah.
There's been attempts or whatever, but that feels like a brand they should.
It
would
feels
wanna
like
throw
if they
out.
announce tomorrow, like they are doing a streaming limited,
Streaming
big budget,
Xena,
Lawless.
Lucy
is back.
Lawless is in it,
Right.
but also, ex young actor will be passing the torch.
Right,
or
but if they were like,
whatever,
we're doing
right.
10 episodes of like,
I mean,
yeah.
The production will be too good.
right, exactly.
The
production
like,
cost
thing
is
about
high.
Xena
you're right.
is that you watched it in the middle of the day when you're a
Right.
little baked.
It's
and
a
you're
tough-
like, this is sick.
They
It's a
wouldn't
very
use enough
specific vibe.
trampolines to have people thrown Like,
Yeah.
It was one of
yeah.
those things where you would be like, you're sitting on the couch, whatever you're watching has just finished.
Yeah.
You don't have a TV guide or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, next up, Xena. And you have that kind of 50-50 of like, should I go do something? Or I don't know. I could just kind of watch Xena, I guess.
It is also, it's funny that Hercules was so big and
or Hercules.
and
obviously.
and then Xena just like
Xena ate
fucking-
its lunch. Yeah.
ate its lunch.
Well,
Like,
Xena was more,
Right.
it was like,
Right.
this is new.
Yes.
Hercules, it's like, I get it. He's
Yeah.
Hercules.
but I think people were like, this is surprising how big this Hercules show has gotten. And then here's this like character in one episode that pops so fucking hard that they were like, is this insane to spin her off? And it becomes more of a cultural phenomenon.
Hercules is like associated with homework.
I
It's
see,
for
because
me.
it's
Oh,
like
'cause
Greek
it's
legends.
Boring.
Oh.
I mean, Hercules, he like fights people with a sword. Though.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
monsters in
learning
it.
something. I guess you're barely learning.
And then there were
I-
those
I was
quizzes that they
afraid.
had at the end. where,
Right. It was
yeah.
like picture pages. They made you fill out the book. You
Right.
had your workbook as you were watching.
Sometimes when you guys talk on the podcast about watching things, and especially about watching things that are kind of junky, I realize how much older I am than you guys, and I see myself down the road in which a world in which I cannot afford to watch something that I do not believe is going to be really, really good because I'm going to die sooner than you guys.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. So it's like I can't watch anything ironically.
Yes.
I can't risk it. I just
I don't
can't
think I
risk it.
watch anything ironically. I think there are a lot of things I watch perversely.
Perversely, yes. Okay,
Right.
that's actually probably the
I
more
do
to
a
the point.
little bit of box checking. Like I finally
do
watched The
completist?
Doors. Oliver Stone's The Doors.
Ah,
I'd never seen it. Why? Many reasons. I was too young when it came out. Never really cared about it after that. Right? It's not like the kind of acclaimed movie people are like, you got to see it. But it's
Right.
also not the kind of nothing movie that people are like, don't even buy. Obviously,
Right.
it's still
Right.
a movie.
Yeah.
You had your whole Morrison phase too. That really surprised me.
Yeah, right. I'm weight-wise, I'm in my Morrison phase. Not in any other.
People don't know there's a full year of this podcast that you did shirtless in leather pants. And we just were like, let's not acknowledge.
You're just like, hey, we got to keep him together for the podcast,
You know,
man. Give him whatever he needs.
The
Let's
lizard
make some
year.
sense.
I've got this backlog of rewatchables episodes.
Yes.
Like if I haven't seen the movie with that podcast, I'll
Mhm.
just kind of keep it in the feed and I'll be like, I'll watch The Doors eventually.
Mhm.
So I finally watched The Doors.
And
4 out of 10. Bad. Kilmer is outstanding in it. It is kind of magic. Have you seen The Doors?
I have
Oliver
seen The
Stone?
Doors. I have
Like
seen The
Kilmer
Doors.
is so good that you're sort of like, it is almost crazy. Obviously, he was a movie star,
Mhm.
but it is crazy that he wasn't more of a movie star, or that
Mm.
his movie stardom was a sort of a briefish window.
He's such an odd guy when you're like how big he both was and wasn't. at
Yeah,
the same
and it's
time.
like it's not The
Yeah.
Doors wasn't a hit upon hits, but it
Right.
was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then you watch it, and he just is Jim, and you're like, that's crazy. And then you're sort of like, but also I think Jim Morrison is this character in this movie when he actually probably wasn't.
Right.
Like you're also like, this became so culturally ubiquitous. This is what Jim Morrison was like.
right.
Mm.
And it's like he was probably like 80% of this at best, right?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't this ridiculous all the time. I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway.
Oh, actually, this brings me
But
to
that's
my-
a perfect example movie where I'm watching it where I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this. Why am I doing this? But another
Right.
side of my brain is like, you gotta check that.
David
box,
checks off boxes. He's
Right.
like, I want to have seen every film in this subgenre, in this era, this
Yeah.
actor, this director,
Yeah.
this
Well,
franchise.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, as a film critic, every reason to, right? To have
Yeah,
this kind of.
I
this
know,
frame of
but I do
reference.
always caution film critics against like the idea of like just because you watched everything doesn't mean you know everything, or you
Right.
know what I mean? Like just watching stuff doesn't like
It's a little bit
automatically make you smarter
I say
about
this without
movies or
judgment.
whatever.
It is also a little bit more of a compulsion with you. Like as much as it does help
This is true.
your criticism,
No, it's
you
true.
you're someone who like needs to be like
Mm.
stimulated at all times, and you
I
like
like-
getting
I
things
like there
done.
being some purpose to what I'm watching, I guess, these days, because it is a little harder for me, Chris. I can't just channel surf
With
and
the,
be
the
like,
baby.
Why?
because he's raised in England.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. What?
All right. No, we're not doing
Oh.
that. We're not doing that.
Actually,
I am
that
a
brings
lizard.
me
It's hard
to,
to surf in
uh,
England.
Yeah,
It's-
that-
this is actually
This
yeah,
is a good point to
perfect
step in.
time with
Yeah, Ben and I have an announcement.
we have
Oh,
kind
that's
of
a good point.
we have
Okay, wait a
announcement.
second.
I'm going to eat a black
Yeah.
one.
Okay, Chris brought black and white cookies, but another thing he brought that I saw him casually pass to Ben
Yeah.
right before the episode
a
started
form.
was in fact an envelope. Now you are a listener. You understand the weight of an envelope being passed to Ben.
Yeah.
And we
It-
don't know what it says, but written on the outside is blank check and co. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe I should just read it, right?
Yeah, just
Okay.
please,
Okay.
please.
Open the envelope. Yep. Okay. I'm seeing there is in fact typed letters. Okay.
Okay. So
It's very official.
yeah. Form BC 1023 application to have bit retired.
What?
Yeah.
Dear sirs and madams, this is to officially request retiring of the bit Night Eggs
What?
from the blank check canon under the usual protocols
Yeah.
per my recent discussion with Ben Hosley, aka producer Ben, aka the Ben Deucer, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, good. Thank God, Jesus. Good. I'm glad he yada yada that.
Fuckmaster.
No,
No. Be it acknowledged that most people think eggs are for the morning, but some people know different. Sincerely, Chris Weitz.
Wow. Can I see
So-
this?
I support this. Not out of
Yeah.
dislike for the Night Eggs bit. More out
Yeah.
of worry for you guys that
No,
I don't know
yeah.
where you're going to take
Yeah.
it at a
Ben's
certain
been
just-
very
point.
stressed by it. Can I
Yeah,
say
like-
it's weighed heavily on him. for a
Anytime
couple
Chris is
years.
coming on the show, Ben's like, do I write an entire screenplay? Like, how far does this go?
I'm like calling Staples. I'm like, can I print 200 pages on black paper?
David, can you torrent
with white
final
ink?
draft for me? I don't like want to pay for the software.
I have to say, this does hold up. It's
It does.
signed.
Yeah, you
It is
got our
official.
guys looking at
Well,
it.
it just needs your guys' stamp. But
Yeah.
here's the
no,
thing, and
give it the stamp.
it just was getting to the point where in order to top where we had gone before,
Mhm.
things were going to have to get really, really serious. And I had thought about trying to reach Samuel L. Jackson, which wouldn't have worked because why would he care about me?
Sure.
Hiring a Samuel L. Jackson impersonator to do a long monologue. What was the other one? I forget what the other one was.
I mean,
think-
at this point, though, you're saying in order for the bit to continue, you had to put your career or money on the line or both.
well, no, and a lot of things on hold, and I wasn't sure that I could pull it off, even to the level of where I think we so far like in a British TV show, right? They reach a certain number of episodes and they've done well, and they just decide to stop.
Let me
You know?
try to explain. David, in England, unlike here,
Yeah.
where shows will continue for long 22 episode seasons, go on
That
for
bit-
I
I'm
don't
sure it's
understand
good.
why you're
Is
explaining.
Retired.
Because as you can see clearly up in the rafters, David is from UK, is there
retired,
hung
right.
next to the Joker.
Next to the Joker.
And I'm going to just now pull on this chain
no.
and
Now-
my home.
Well, I want to say there's also an
Oh.
empty gap for
Ding,
Humble
ding.
Brag, which was up but then was taken down.
Right,
Right.
right.
yeah,
Humble
you
brag
can
is
kind
great.
of see a little bit
Right.
of a like fading. Yeah,
It's kind
where
of like
it
how
was.
Tom Brady retired and then he was like, nah, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's keep
Right.
going. Yeah.
But I'm going to pull
Plank the
on this chain, and that will be sadly the end of Night Eggs for now. We'll
Okay.
maybe bring it
You
down
never
again.
know.
Who knows? Maybe I'll actually write it. No, I would never do that. If writing screenplays is hard.
Wow.
So it's almost like it's homework.
Yeah.
one might say.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, don't
you have nothing to
apologize.
for.
Chris, if anything, it's a testament to how great of a guest you were because I threw some dumbass shit at you and you were so down.
Yeah, but another
And-
testament is this printed letter.
And
And
that
I
you
was
did.
going to say,
Printed out something. You have a printer.
and I
I do have a printer, humble brag.
color.
Color.
No less.
I
have a
appreciate
color
that you went
printer.
through the proper channels. I
Yeah.
appreciate,
Well,
yeah,
I
that
do
you.
it,
I mean,
know.
there are no loose ends here. David,
Yes.
we all know that we are what we eat.
Classic expression.
That's why people often stop me on the street and go, "Are you a bowl of crap?"
Now.
I eat poorly. I eat poorly is the point. I eat poorly. I eat junk. People try to they look at me and they try to throw their refuse in my mouth, David.
Right. They just assume you're a garbage bowl.
They think I'm a garbage bowl because I am what I eat. Yes.
And look, I'll admit, it can be tough to make time for shopping and meal planning and prepping and cooking, all that stuff.
This is one of the main reasons I eat like garbage because I'm lazy and I have poor time management. I don't know what to buy.
It's very, very true. So why not get straight to the good part with great meals that require no prep whatsoever, Griffin?
Wait, you're telling me there is a way to earn the respect of my fellow human with zero prep whatsoever?
Yes, because Splendid Spoon sends delicious plant-based meals and snacks right to your door. It's ready to eat food. It's designed to fit into your busy schedule instead of taking time out of it, okay?
Now, there's a word there I really liked.
What's that?
Snacks.
Oh, you like a snack?
I love a snack.
Because they've also look. I mean, this is a company that's got a lot of stuff. They send smoothies if you want them. Right in a little bottle for you. But they'll send you some nice bowls. Right?
Ooh,
They'll send you
yeah.
soups. You like a
Yeah.
bowl? You like a sort of grain and veggies and all that stuff, right?
I'd like a bowl and a soup. Yeah.
Sure. They got little wellness shots if you like that kind of the sort of ginger and orange juice, right? Like a little
I do.
just to kind of
Yeah.
activate the system. They've got all kinds of cool stuff, and this is not like one of those services where it's a bunch of ingredients and you got to cook it all and you got to take it out of all this packaging or whatever. No, Splendid Spoon. It's just shipped right to your door, ready to eat. You only lift a finger to press start on your microwave, Griffin.
Oh, this is perfect for me. I'm just looking at some of their noodle options here. You got Dan Dan noodles, vegan meatballs, marinara noodles.
I'm a Dan Dan noodles guy myself.
I love Dan Dan noodles, David.
Yeah. Well, look, it fits into any schedule. There's a meal plan for everyone, and every meal plan is customizable, so you get what you want every time.
I'll tell you what I want.
What's that?
To stop being seen of as garbage. I want to be what I eat. I want to be a bowl of Dan Dan noodles, David.
Well, so maybe if you could go sign up for Splendid Spoon when you're walking around, people will shout Dan as you walk down the street.
That's what I'll hope, and I'll say.
Complicated bit.
This is what I'll say. I'll say yes.
Well, okay. Some facts about Splendid Spoon. Every meal is 100% plant-based, gluten-free, and GMO-free. They've got lots of veggies and legumes and healthy fats and whole grains, stuff like that. That sounds pretty cool.
I'm just looking at a line here. Plus, eating plant-based food can come with a wealth of benefits like improved energy, sleep, digestion, and complexion. Really, really hitting 4 things I struggle with all in one sentence.
I know. Look, this is like Chris Paul, the famous basketball player. He went plant-based a couple of years ago, turned his life around. He's leading the Phoenix Suns, best record in the league.
Woody Harrelson went plant-based in his 20s, booked Cheers, 3 Academy Award nominations.
That's true. And also, Woody Harrelson always looks great.
He looks so hot.
He looks really nice at the Oscars. He's 60 years old. You wouldn't think it.
Honestly, we were at Marie's Oscar party, and everyone in the room went like, God, he looks good when he got on stage.
He looks good. All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a call to action. Try Splendid Spoon today and take meal planning off your plate. Just go to splendidspoon.com/check for $50 off your first box when you subscribe to the breakfast, lunch, and reset plan or the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and reset plan.
Cool.
That's splendidspoon.com/check for $50 off.
The irony, of course, is that Darkman is almost definitely a guy who eats eggs at night, right?
It's got some night eggs energy. I mean,
does.
The man isn't
big
really
time.
hanging out when the sun is up. So
It's
how
tough.
does Darkman eat? His mouth is messed up.
It's maybe my single favorite element in this movie that Darkman doesn't have lips.
Yeah.
And so he's
And-
got
and yet-
prosthetic teeth on the outside of his mouth.
But
and
it can
anytime
form
Liam Neeson's-
plosives and fricatives,
Right.
which is surprising.
But it's
right?
weird because you're watching it and you're like, the sound shouldn't be coming out of his mouth. I'm just watching teeth moving up and down. Like he looks like a science room skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, listen to me.
Yeah, he's doing all kinds of things that you couldn't.
Yeah.
But I think Neeson carries that off. I think the makeup is really good, right? Isn't it?
I think
the makeup's incredible.
is excellent. And we're talking about Bill Paxton really wanted to play Darkman. Who was the third guy who was in contention?
The third guy who was in contention was Gary Oldman.
Right.
Also makes sense
Holy
at the time.
mackerel.
A lot of because all those actors are not that famous yet.
Right.
They're guys.
But you could make them the leading man.
You could, but
For a
also
low
they make
budget.
sense for leading men who are going to have a lot of makeup on their face for a lot
Right.
of the movie or
Just
whatever.
have to put up a lot of sugar.
Paxton said he wanted it really badly, campaigned for it really hard.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll read you the quote.
Please.
Actually, I came very close to being cast as Darkman. You never talk about movies you never got, but that was one I really wanted bad. And I made the mistake of telling an actor friend of mine about the role, Liam Neeson, and he ended up getting the part. God damn that bastard!
Now, my thought is,
Square brackets laughs.
yeah, there is no one else who could have played Darkman. I truly think, as much as
he's
I'm
very
like,
well cast.
there's a good Gary Oldman version of this.
Oldman
There's a good
certainly-
Paxton version of
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
The Neeson version of it is, across all universes, the best possible version of this film. And I think, first of all, you got Raimi tapping into the weird power of action movie Neeson 20 years before anyone else
Just
gets
his
to that.
frame,
His hugeness.
his
Yeah.
imposingness, but also his kind of cute face.
And his gravitas of yelling things, the intensity that he can sort of conjure, him understanding how to use himself as sort of iconography, that he's a man who can give very sensitive, naturalistic performances, but he also understands when he needs to be like a color on the palette and use his size and his timbre and all of that. The other thing is, which I think there's a quote there that speaks to this, Raimi was like, he has the old Universal monster thing. He has that sad romantic
He
quality,
does. Yeah,
which
he
the
very
other guys
much-
don't have.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
thing is, like, when you hear Bill Paxton, I guess you think of Near Dark, right? Like,
Right.
that's the thing I would think of the most. And I'm like, okay, I can sort of imagine
You're
that.
electric. He's
You hear Gary
right.
Oldman, you think this very intense
Yeah.
villainous performance that would be very, very angry and
Right.
very good, probably, but a totally different vibe.
Right.
Much more I'm a monster
Yes.
vibe.
Right.
You know.
And it actually reminds me of that line. Doesn't Judy Davis say in Husband, was it Husbands and Wives, where she says of Liam Neeson, he weeps? Like they're talking about how he cries, right?
He's got
He
that
can
like
cry.
bruised poet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's. I mean, it's the Irishman in him. Not to
Yes.
stereotype about the
Mhm.
Irish
No.
people, but they're all beautiful poets.
And he's got
I appreciate
I
that.
think
You're welcome.
famously soulful eyes. And this
Yeah.
is a movie where for a lot of it, his eyes are the only thing you are going
it's
to see
gotta be work.
unencumbered. So like
Yeah, of course.
his voice needs to punch through and his eyes need to punch through. And he has that thing, the Karloff thing, where it's like that's what made that movie a fucking phenomenon. Is there some weird romantic sadness that Karloff put into that monster
Mhm.
that made him like relatable?
Let me give you some context about Darkman.
I always thought Neeson would be an incredible Frankenstein's monster. All the last
Yeah.
15
Yeah,
years,
again, the height.
when they
yeah, I mean,
floated,
obviously, yeah.
he's got the lumbering height, but he's got that.
Who
that
was going to
heavy
be it in?
sadness.
Was it Bardem,
It was gonna be Bardem.
or was he going to be the Wolfman?
No, he was gonna be Frankenstein's monster.
in the Dark Universe.
I think Wolfman
Bardem
was,
was going to be Frankenstein.
yes.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, I can
just-
see it too. He's got another actor with a really good frame. Like I like him.
But the Neeson version, I just think. I mean, well, he's
The
already played
Neeson version
Darkman.
that doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
right. Wolfman was like the last on the list because the Benicio Wolfman had happened
Right,
recently.
right,
so they
right,
were
right.
going to let that one lie for I think a little
Mhm.
longer.
Now it's
Yeah.
coming back, right? Now it's
Now Ryan
it's
Gosling is the
doing with
Wolfman.
Derek Cianfrance.
Yes.
Cianfrance. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, let me give you some context. The
Please.
film Evil Dead 2 comes out.
Mm.
Sam Raimi is hot again,
Uh-huh.
to a certain extent. You know, maybe he's
He's-
not
he's-
getting $100 million
right.
movies, but he's
Crime
mulling
Wave was a
projects.
classic sophomore slump movie, and now he's reestablished himself.
he really wants to make The Shadow. That's that's the top of his list. He wants to do The Shadow, as we discussed.
It also feels like, he didn't want to do Evil Dead 2. There was a career necessity of like, do the movie that can get financed. That's what people want out of you. It feels like he generally was ready to make the studio leap at this point.
A little bit, sure. But who's working on The Shadow?
Robert Zemeckis?
Robert Zemeckis. Because the movie that eventually is directed by Russell Mulcahy, who's the Highlander guy with Alec Baldwin, that's the Zemeckis project. He eventually departs.
But I think Raimi was like interviewing for until Zemeckis showed interest. Like there was a little bit of a flirtation
Mm.
where Raimi was in the room before Zemeckis came in.
Sure, maybe.
I
I
think,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know, but basically, the way Robert Taper puts it, is it Taper?
I always thought it was Tappert, but who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Is
Only the shadow knows.
it was just impossible because of Zemeckis, and Sam was just like, okay, I will try to, take my love of that superhero and that genre of 30
Right.
superheroes, and I'll do Darkman, right?
Right.
Like Darkman
That-
is very obviously him being like, let me plan that.
There's that
But
story.
much better for that, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
I think
Yes.
so.
It's so much better.
There's that story that Tim Burton was supposed to do After Hours
Yes, of course.
because Griffin Dunn loved Frankenweenie.
Right.
And they hired him, and he was
And
like,
that led him to do Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
It's,
no, they were like in pre-production, and then Scorsese was like post Temptation of Christ,
Yep.
was like, I'm feeling like Curse. I need to get back out there. I need to make a movie. What are the scripts? He read the script. He reached out.
No, it's not
Uh.
post. I think it's the Temptation of Christ had fallen apart
That's
again.
you're right. Yes.
Or whatever, and
Yes.
King of Comedy hadn't done well.
That's what it
and-
was.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah,
That's what it was. It was that Christ had fallen apart,
Yeah.
as he is wont to do, and
People really beat the shit
Griffin
out of that
Dunn
guy,
went
you know?
to
he
Tim
comes
Burton
back though.
and went like, "Hey, it's just weird. Scorsese is like asking to do this movie now," and Tim Burton was like, "Yeah." So then I quit.
Right, I'm not going. Especially Tim Burton, circa 1985. Yeah,
Right,
getting out of here.
right.
Right.
I have to imagine, as much as Raimi really wanted to do The Shadow, if you're like Robert Zemeckis coming off of Back to the Future and Roger Rabbit back to back
Right.
wants to do The Shadow. I'm not going to compete with that.
Yeah,
Like,
you're not going to be like,
So
F
you're-
that guy.
obviously
I got
Zemeckis
this.
is
Right.
very obviously Zemeckis hasn't even made Forrest Gump yet, but he's still
Sure.
he's still king of the mountain. But Sam Raimi also says it wasn't just The Shadow, obviously, because this movie's very sort of Phantom of the Opera,
Mhm.
right? Very Hunchback of Notre Dame, like
Yes.
those sorts of,
Right.
I'm a monster,
Yes.
right? The
Mhm.
You
elephant
could never
man.
love me.
Yes, but he says that his first idea was more the idea of the Man of a Thousand Faces,
Right.
thing, right? That was the actual initial idea for Darkman, and then he brings in the. And what if he's all burned up? And what if he's got bandages on his face?
It's like
blah,
a
blah,
big part of why I think this movie works is that he's pulling a couple different things in and he's unbeholden to any source material and he's able to pick the best elements from like a couple different.
and do it fast.
Right.
Yeah.
But like
Mhm.
things that he loves, right? It's like, what do I like about the old classic romantic sort of wounded heart universal monsters? What do I like about these two-fisted pulp heroes?
Right.
And then he had written a short story when he was younger.
Yes.
Right. That he was like, I always liked that idea of the guy who can make a mask, who can like be anybody.
Who battles criminals?
Right. So he had the short
and-
story in
and
his
I
back
guess then he's
pocket.
like,
Yeah.
but what if this guy doesn't have a face? That's why he
Right.
makes faces,
Right.
Mhm.
which is cool.
It's just like a perfect three sort of things to pluck from.
He brings Ivan Raimi in, his brother.
Mhm.
His brother's a doctor. Ivan Raimi. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know he was a
Practicing
doctor.
physician.
Yeah.
So I guess Ivan also has his perspective on how could this make sense, or
Which I've
whatever.
heard this movie
Right.
scientifically accurate.
So then there's
Yes.
the Jenny Agutter hospital
Yes.
sort of
Scene.
moment.
It is
right?
funny that she pops in for one
Yep.
scene. I mean, where is she? I mean, Jenny, is it Agutter or Gutter?
I've gotten slammed
know.
for saying it wrong, and now I'm in my head about it.
I always
Um,
worry that gutter sounds kind of pejorative. And
I do. I think it's Agatha.
a gutter, Jenny, a
think it's
gutter.
Agatha.
Obviously a legend, but this is
Right.
like post like Equus and Walkabout and all her like
But there's that
Logan's
weird thing,
Run.
like she shows up for like 5 seconds as one of the tribunal faces in the first Avengers movie.
yeah,
Like
she's,
I think a lot
she's
of
in 2 Avengers movies, my friend. She's in Winter Soldier as well.
I just think sometimes people use her as like,
Stern British lady who says something important.
but also a certain kind of film nerd is like Jenny Agutter. That's
yeah,
cool
sure.
to put
That's
her
from
in.
Walkabout,
You know,
yeah.
That's
yeah,
American Werewolf. Lots
Yeah.
of anyway.
right.
But yeah, no, brings in Ivan, Ivan. They take it to
MD.
Universal. Empty. They take it to Universal. Universal is interested, but for the first time in Sam Raimi's career, is also like, we have notes. We want to rewrite this. Like, it's the first time that he's ever dealing with
Ever.
the studio being
Right.
like, okay, so can we put some structure on this?
Right.
Like, so
Because I think all the crime wave problems happened like during production in edit.
yes.
Yeah.
So Chuck, because this script is credited to 5 people. Credited to
Yes.
those 2.
Yeah.
It's credited to Chuck Farrer,
Uh-huh.
who is an ex-Navy SEAL who eventually writes Hard Target, which
Right.
Sam Raimi produces. So I think they
Mhm.
got on well.
Mhm.
And then these guys, Daniel and Joshua Golden, who were like hot new writers who never really amounted to much in Hollywood. No offense to them if they actually did, but like their IMDb list is certainly not robust.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people just kind of
The Golden
work
Boys,
behind the scenes.
right?
And the Goldens wanted to, they were like, I guess Universal was like, okay, kids, what do you want to do? We want you to rewrite Problem Child. And they were like, we don't want to do that. We want to rewrite this movie Darkman. That seems cool. And so they work on Darkman, and they said basically they had to take what was a lot of really interesting ideas and just turn it into a 3-act story. Like
Yeah.
that's the way to describe the Raimi script, is a big, interesting heap of documents. Which, because my guess is like the Evil Dead style thing was more just kind of like, we'll figure it out, right? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
they were just not used to the sort of like, we need something that is going to just make a ton of sense before there's the green light.
It is just funny how like this movie has a tremendous amount of ideas, but it also feels very like focused and streamlined narratively in a way that we were saying like the movies of this genre today do not. And I also think something like we recently, David, you and I went in for our yearly checkup.
With Dr. Michael Morbius?
Dr. Michael Morbius, the
Oh.
living
in
vampire.
international waters, of course.
Right. We had to, just get a full
That's
physical.
where his office is.
Yes, on a boat. But that's a movie where you're like, this feels like 18 writers and 5 different scripts cobbled together.
And obviously, like
Reshoots.
COVID delays and
Right.
reshoots, and
Right.
it turns out we're not in the universe we thought we were in. Like a lot of stuff like that.
For how many different
Have
hands touched this movie?
Have you seen The Doctor?
Have you gone to see The Doctor recently?
No, I haven't.
I don't wanna
actually.
make-
I feel
look,
like it's been a while.
Chris,
since
I don't want to make you
checked
feel
it.
self-conscious about your age, but it is important for men over a certain point to
Here's really
go
good
see
at,
Dr. Michael Morbius
Are
regularly.
you
Blood
worried? 'Cause
work?
he's very sensitive about weight and
Yes,
height and all
absolutely.
that stuff.
Yes.
There's nothing. He's
Yeah.
not going to shame you
No,
or
no.
tell you to calorie count or anything like that. Now, I would wear a turtleneck.
Yeah.
I just want to say.
Keep
I
the
hear his
collar
treatments are
stiff
somewhat
around Dr.
radical. Yeah.
This guy.
Life
I don't know if you
extension.
know this, Chris. Most vampires are dead.
Yeah.
They
But
died at some point along the way.
Rip. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made a vampire movie?
Yeah.
Oh, those guys are
those,
pretty dead.
those guys are dead.
Those guys are dead. Not Michael Morbius.
Did you think about putting Morbius in your movies?
In New Moon. Having
Oh
pop
man,
up.
he would have spiced things up
This
a
is-
lot.
I
He
think he
actually he could have
could've.
been another guy.
Yeah.
Who likes
You got the Volturi,
Right.
And
Yeah.
they're like, okay, interesting developments, and then it cuts to international waters. And Morbius is like,
meanwhile.
what's going down in Seattle?
Well, Dr. Carlisle. Imagine fucking Carlisle.
Sure,
and
vampire
Morbius.
medical conference
Yeah.
or
Right.
something
Right.
in like Vegas.
Swap notes. And he's like, so you're alive, you say.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway.
So you're saying we should see Morbius though, like
Everyone
as
should go
someone
see
who
Morbius.
hasn't seen it.
No, you're okay. You don't need to see it. It's pretty bad.
The test results are back, and America has Morbius fever. I'm seeing
not
here.
prescribed. In your
America
case.
definitely has some kind of fever. Maybe
They
it's
do.
Morbius
Yeah.
fever. The Goldens loved working on the movies. They say Sam is the nicest director they ever worked with. The whole thing was interesting. It was Sam and Ivan and my brother and me, just a bunch of brothers working on something. That's what they say. Everyone's looking at their phones right now.
No, I'm looking
No,
for
I'm
there
gonna
was
tell
a
you,
thing
I-
in the
I'm-
notes of it.
I'm
I
getting,
have chocolate on my fingers, some cookies.
I'm getting texts. I'm getting texts from my wife who was on the way to see The Music Man with my little kids,
Ooh.
and who's stuck in a taxi. One of those horrendous kind of like stuck on one side of Houston Street or something.
Sure.
So she's going to be
It's never
late
gonna move,
to
yeah.
hear Gary, Indiana, or whatever it is,
Oh,
and
boy.
she sort of had this notion of how much the
Shapoopy.
kids would love it, and this is a real major bummer. But actually, there's-
They're going to be fine. They'll
Yeah.
see The Music Man, which I am seeing in May, barring, whatever.
Humble brag.
And
Unretired.
say hi to your wife. She's the best.
I will.
Let me see. Rob Tapert says also the Coen brothers
That's what I was looking for. I forgot. I'm
were
sorry.
instrumental
Right. Yes.
in building the structure.
Right.
I guess basically talking Sam through his idea, I guess, is the
Mhm.
way he's describing it. Like,
that's-
okay, great idea. What are the beats of it?
That
right
is
here?
exactly what I'm impressed with.
So another
in this
set of
movie.
brothers. A lot of brothers.
A lot of
working on this
brothers.
movie.
No, but I just think this movie, for how many ideas it had, how many different scraps they were pulling from, how many different hands touched it, it does just feel very focused. It makes sense that the Coen brothers
Yep.
understood him
quite
well
tight.
enough, were friends with him, knew how to sort of just like organize it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He also says Chuck Farrer was best at the villains. So I bet you Chuck Farrer did a lot of work on this movie because a lot of villains.
A lot of villains.
But anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, the most interesting thing is just Sam Raimi. And like, this is the whole thing with him. I feel like as we talk about him is it's like, yes, the story is friends in the woods making the evil dead.
Mhm.
But then every time the Darkman or something comes up, he's like, okay, this is my chance
Yeah.
to like elevate or whatever, to like, be Hollywood, be like, to be taken seriously.
He
in some
always
new
wants
level.
to prove himself at some new thing or in some new way, some new level, it feels like.
Yes. So like, that's just like, he was very scared, but he was very excited.
Mhm.
I mean, there's just lots of quotes basically of like, I don't want to just be the special effects guy. I don't
Yeah.
want to just be the inventive, horror guy. This movie has a plot, which is a new thing for me. The camera is not a star. Now that's really funny that he says that, because yes, maybe the camera movement is a little calmer in
Right.
this movie, but it's still pretty exaggerated.
JJ wrote in the notes, our researcher, he was like, look, I try not to editorialize when I'm putting these together, but that's fucking insane.
Right.
Like he had 5 excerpts of Raimi saying like, I really calmed down on this movie. No fancy tricks. I'm not focusing on the special effects. He's like, what is he fucking talking about?
Yeah, Bill Pope, the
Bill
DP
Pope.
of this movie,
He's a big deal.
absolute legend.
Yes.
One of
Yep.
my favorite DPs
Incredible.
of all time,
Yeah.
or like one of the first people I ever thought about as a DP
Sure.
when I was like a 12-year-old.
Topsy-turvy.
That's Dick Pope.
That's
Dick
Dick
Pope. Holy shit. Bill
That's
Pope.
the Mike Lee
I
guy.
got this all wrong.
Bill Pope
Jesus.
is like the Matrix. What else?
Scott
is
Pilgrim.
Scott
Spider-Man
Pilgrim.
2.
amazingly Team America World Police, which I would
Yes.
always love to think about, like what it was like shooting that movie.
The Freaks and Geeks pilot.
That's true. Yeah. Alita, you know, he's now in the Marvel. He did Shang-Chi. He's working on Ant-Man 3.
Right.
But he's always been kicking around. But this
reminds me of when I thought Brie Larson and
Alison Brie
were the same person, and thought what an amazing career that she had put together.
God, she's in everything. How does she
shot
make time
Topsy
for all of
Turvy?
this?
Shot Darkman.
So anytime she dyes her hair, she's like totally transformed. Like,
Anyway, no. Dick Pope, of course, was famously once called Dick Poop
At the Oscars.
when his Oscar nomination
When
was
they
announced
announced
by.
Oh my goodness!
What
Is that a Travolta?
I don't remember who it was, but
It was the
Dick
president of the Academy at the time. I just can't.
Was it
remember.
Don
He's
Hudson?
Louise.
No.
No, it wasn't Don.
Cheryl
Hudson.
Boone Isaacs?
Cheryl Boone Isaacs.
Call him
yes.
Dick Poop.
And did she then win? Did he then win? He didn't win.
He
He did not
You
win. It
couldn't
was during the
set
nomination
record
announcement,
straight.
but it was just one of those things where she said Dick Poop, and it was like,
And then you can't be like, "We're sorry we called you Dick
Yeah.
Poop."
right?
Of course
you
you're
can't
not called
do
Dick Poop.
anything. You can't take it
Nope.
back. As you were saying, JJ did editorialize a bit, where he's like, after Sam Raimi's like, I'm really trying to calm the camera down. And Bill Pope is like, we use the eyeball flyball rig, the Perfalock Danso cam, the drunken cam, snap, zooms, whip pans, Dutch angles, camera attached to sticks and blankets, virtually anything that moved. We always moved the camera. I was told by our dolly grip on day 50 something that we were doing our first shot in the film where the camera didn't move.
Walk off.
And it was a 360-degree pan
That's the first time the camera was locked down.
where it's not
Goodness
moving through
gracious.
space. you
Right.
know.
It was just spinning around.
And then all the quotes from Frances McDormand. It's funny because
Right.
in the Quick and the Dad episode, which is next week,
2 weeks.
what's in between?
Army of Darkness.
Oh, Army of
my
Darkness. right.
friend.
But it's the same thing where Gene Hackman was like, I swear to God, can you just let me act? And Sam Raimi was like, I have a bunch of setups I want to do.
Yeah.
And Frances
Right.
McDormand felt the same way, where she was just like, if you're going to crash zoom into me
Mhm.
when I'm crying, wait, let me find then I'm not going to act, because anything I do is going to feel completely over the top if the camera's
Right.
already over the top. Like
She makes a good point.
it's really interesting because like clearly Sam talks about it. Sam
Yeah.
Raimi, my friend Sam.
Yes.
Sam, I am. He does not like green eggs.
He
and ham.
actually does not. He does not like them in a box.
No.
But he doesn't like them with a fox.
Obviously because he's Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
and she's in Crime Wave briefly or
For a
whatever
moment.
for a second.
For a moment.
But like he's like, oh, working with my friend Frances McDormand. We used to live together. This is going to be
Right.
great.
But she was
And Frances
pissed.
McDormand, who, as we all know, is a strong personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't afraid to say her opinion in any forum. Clearly was like, Sam, will you stop fucking doing all this bullshit? Like, I want to act over here. And he was like, I don't get it. Why aren't we friends? Like,
It is interesting. They both talk openly about what a difficult time they had working together on this movie. And it sounds
credit
like
to them that they talk openly.
they talk
obviously.
openly, and it sounds
Right.
like they are friends again now. Like it didn't.
Yeah, I think
permanently-
they're right. They're fine.
I saw McDormand say also that she was like, there was a lot about it I found frustrating. I found the process frustrating. There's not that much meat on the bone with this character,
Mm.
right? There was this thing that Sam had sort of gotten criticized in the Evil Dead movies of like the women are one dimensional.
would
They
say-
just exist to be killed off.
Quick and the Dead is an exception. There are exceptions. The Gift is an exception.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of damsels in distress
Yes.
in his filmography.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually
It's a trope he leans on with the superhero
I actually
shit.
think the handling of Mary Jane across the Spider-Man trilogy is a time he has done well in avoiding
Some
that
might
character
say.
outside of certain sequences
I don't know.
becoming too
There's
damn
some.
silly.
I'm
There's a moment that
interested
quite
to rewatch.
threw me where Liam, Darkman, Liam Neeson,
Yeah, Darkman.
says, "Was there anybody else, while I was burnt and
Yes.
away?" And she says, "There was a man who comforted me, but it's it doesn't really mean anything." And Liam Neeson's like, "Oh, fantastic!
You're
And
not dirty.
Yeah, I found like I don't think I would have felt that way.
No.
Also, that's very bad judgment on Frances McDormand's part, like her character's part.
Yes.
The character, of course, is called Julie.
Julie, right?
She
How
sort
could I
of-
forget.
She said, how could you forget the famous character of
She
Julie?
wanted first choice was Bridget Fonda, of course, who
Yeah.
we will eventually work with in A Simple Plan and briefly
Mhm.
end in Army of Darkness, but she was quite young, and
Did
he
you-
thought she would play weird against.
Did you
Neeson.
read the Julie Roberts thing? Was that in the dossier?
I
Okay.
did. We'll get to that.
We'll get
That
to that.
is fascinating.
But it sounds like it was this thing. I mean, I guess McDormand had her first Oscar nomination at that point. Mississippi Burning had come out.
That's a good call. Is it
Wow.
really? Yeah, because that's 88. So
Right.
yes.
So it's that kind of thing where like she had an Oscar nomination. She was taken seriously as an actress. She wasn't a movie star. And
She
she
was
sort
doing
of
a solid for
No,
a
'cause
friend.
this is really
maybe.
only like her 5th movie,
Right.
like total.
It's
yeah.
a twofold thing where like Raimi, by all accounts, kind of pushed for her. She was on the
Mhm.
list, but she was maybe lower on the list.
Right.
And he really pushed for her. He wanted the gravitas. He was like, I want this to have real human feeling. I want there to be a relationship that is like played straight at the center of this, so we can hang our hats on that.
Yes, she
around
had-
all the silliness.
She had also gotten a Tony nomination for a Broadway revival of A Streetcar Named Desire playing Stella.
Sure. Okay.
So
That was probably a very good
That's
performance.
probably was.
That's
and
one
also,
of those. when you
that's the
hear about
kind
it.
of thing people pay attention
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think she had a little bit of weight, but she wasn't seen as like a movie star. And by her
No.
account, she was like, this was a career decision where I was like appreciative that he gave me a big part in a big studio movie, that I got to work on a more technical film, that I got to be like the ingenue. Like I wanted to see, she has her line where she's like, I wanted to learn how I like look on camera and how I
Mhm.
react to lights and all these sorts of things and learn my angles and all these things I did not feel experienced with. And she was like, my lesson was that's not the kind of actress I am and I don't like doing that. But she's sort
Right.
of,
She says this
Yeah.
is the quote first bimbo she ever played.
yes.
Frances McDormand, obviously, again, never afraid to shoot straight.
Do you have the line there about like the eyes roll back into the head?
The eyes roll back into the head.
It's somewhere there. But she said like because they both
Yes. Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good quote.
Always being concerned about the way I look and what my clothes are like. I'm just not good at that. In many female roles on film, most of your energy goes into making sure you look good and that you don't do anything that's going to make your face look too weird on camera, which I can't do. I do things and my eyes roll back in my head. I can't help that.
I just think it's funny that she was like, I have an Oscar nomination now. I'm taken seriously as a movie actress. I don't think I know how to be a movie star. I'm aware of
So
what
let me give it a
actors'
shot.
careers are like.
Right.
Let me
Right.
do the things I need to do to be like a sexy woman in a movie. And she
You
did
just-
it once with her friend and
And
was
she's
like,
like, nope.
I hate this. I'm not good at it. I'm gonna do my own fucking thing.
Because
Yeah.
Her
Okay.
whole career is kind of formed in
Here's my
response
question.
to trying this one part. Yeah.
Frances McDormand has 3 Oscars.
Yes. The
She's
most winning living actress.
Wow.
She's very famous. I would say a lot of people probably know her. But is she a movie star in that like she could open a movie at any point in her
No.
career? Like
No.
maybe post Fargo, but then she's just obviously not very interested
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
pursuing that.
Yes.
But like she never really took roles where it's like my face,
No.
my name on the poster, right? You know, like
No. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
feel like she didn't want to be after this.
No,
absolutely
It's
not. just
she's a
not something
great,
she's ever
great
really done.
character
Right.
Actor,
Yeah.
She's like
and
Buscemi.
real actor.
Like,
Yeah.
but she has 3 lead actors.
I know it's wild.
Wow.
Three
Right.
leading.
Yeah.
No, but
Right.
I know what you mean. Like,
yeah,
the
because
same
we've
sort
talked
of-
about him too, where it's like the really famous character actor.
Right,
That's like
like
just
everyone
so
in the world knows who he is.
recognizable. Right.
No, she's funny because it's 3 leading roles in like 3 big ass movies. One of them is like her husband positioning her as a lead at a time where she was sort of allergic to, I think, probably most leading type roles that were being offered to her, writing a part that did suit her interests and her skills, right?
like post this.
yeah.
Let's see. She's in a movie called Hidden Agenda, which is a Ken Loach movie,
Right.
British movie.
And she's the lead in that.
She
right?
is. She
yeah.
is. But that's a small movie.
Yeah, yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
She's in a movie called The Butcher's Wife,
Uh-huh.
which is not a
That's a
major
weird Demi
role.
Moore, Jeff Daniels
Correct.
comedy. Yeah.
Hmm.
She's in Shortcuts. She's in Beyond Rangoon, which is a Patricia Arquette movie.
Mhm.
She's in Palookaville. Like she's in a lot of movies actually kind of not going anywhere until she
Right.
gets Fargo.
It's not like she was like inevitable when Fargo came out.
And then like
Mhm.
post Fargo, it's like it's only 3 or 4 years later she's in Wonder Boys and Almost Famous or whatever,
Right.
where she's graduated to the like gravitas supporting funny
Well, I think
whatever.
she's more comfortable. And also, by the way, anytime she's ever done like a paycheck movie post Fargo, it's in a small role. Like it's her doing like Transformers 3, and she has 4 scenes where she's like Optimus
As
Prime. I'm
quickly as possible.
looking at this
Sign the
document
check
here.
and yeah, I'm out
Yeah.
of here.
I mean, her performance in Eon Flux, which is a movie I stick up for,
Yeah.
is fascinating. And that is clearly a movie that was a lot of work because you have to wear all these crazy
Sure.
costumes and do all this stuff. That feels like her being like, well, I'm interested in working with this
This
director.
director,
This
right.
is an interesting project. But like, it is weird when you see her in a blockbuster.
Yes.
Eon Flux is a weird blockbuster,
Yeah.
but still, you're like, damn, that's Frances
Michael Bay
McDormand.
has that weird thing where he like collects Coen Brothers actors. He clearly loves the Coen Brothers and uses like all of their stock.
I
company
think he
people.
also has that reputation where people are like, you should do it once. It's wild.
Right.
Like, there's nothing
Right.
like
right.
it.
Someone like
you know.
Turturro's coming back to her and going like, "You're gonna find this fascinating."
But anyway, McDormand,
Right.
it is just all these quotes are very funny. Go ahead.
I don't
Sorry.
think that which Pope is it? Bill Pope.
Bill Pope is the deep.
Yes.
I don't think he's doing it any favors. Because here's what I think. I actually am developing a little theory here so some of the scenes had to be so about being dark that the scenes that weren't were too light, right?
Yeah,
They're
sure.
fucking hosed down with 10Ks.
Yeah.
Like it is a nuclear dawn.
It's a very like sort of pop arty all the day light scenes, which are the scenes that she's in by and large. I also think she has a very interesting face that I imagine, especially if your job is we want to make her just the love interest in this movie, when you're not playing up the character and the tension in her face, which I think a lot of her best roles do. She seems like someone who is hard to figure out how to light. And I think
you don't want to just
also,
blast her with light.
I think you get the sense like she feels uncomfortable in these outfits. She feels uncomfortable wearing this much
the
makeup.
power suits.
That whole part of this movie is just sort of like, okay, whatever.
It's
the dog
total
is.
shoe leather where it's like, look, the city and property and buildings and land.
I thought the whole meeting was like on a different context.
No,
I really thought she was like a journalist.
She's working for Bado McPherson, right?
Yeah.
Or on that. I mean, actually, this is one of these evil developer movies, right?
Yes.
Which was like the quicksand of the 90s was developing.
Absolutely.
And by the way, they were right. It's a lot of the like hobgoblins of Hollywood movies turn out to be exactly right, but they've somehow been declawed by the fact that they've appeared in studio movies like Development, The Evil Corporation,
the evil
Shadow
tech
Corporation,
guys.
Evil
I feel
Tech
like
Guys.
we had 10 years of like, this overworn trope of the evil tech guy, and now all of them
but
have
they are evil.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm building a rocket ship. And we're like, they fucking told us this in a movie.
But somehow
15 years
because
ago. Don't worry
they've
about
been in
this.
big movies,
But
it no longer really has an actual real
Well,
life
because
threat.
it's what you're saying, where it's like evil developers, and then in a movie, it's like, I want to develop a death ray. And it's like, well, they don't want to do that. And it's like, well, yeah, but they do want to do a lot of bad, boring
people.
shit,
Right.
like that we should call
200
them on.
housing units.
Right.
The thing I find fascinating in the McDormand thing is that she sort of says like, he was like doing me a favor. I thought I needed to do this type of movie as like learning experience, means to an end, understanding how to fit in Hollywood. It taught me the things I don't want to do. I found it difficult to work around his process and whatever. And it was like he was asking me to bestow gravitas around a thing that was not really that well written. This part specifically, right?
Right.
There's not that much there, and he's doing all this crazy pyrotechnics around me. But she also says, like, I came to set talking to him like my friend
She admits she was maybe too fresh with
in
him
my living room.
because
we're in a professional
close,
environment. I'd be
right.
like, Sam, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't want to do that. That she was sort of like that.
And it's tough to, you don't want to talk to a director on his set that way because then, it's
Right.
going to throw off the balance of a lot of things, I guess. I don't know.
The
Well,
other
if someone
actors
looks you in
might-
the eyes on set, you fire them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Of course. Right.
You wear
If they-
sunglasses all the
sorry,
time.
if
You
they
wear a
talk-
mirrored suit so no one can see your body.
If they speak to me, if they speak
Ben
to me, it's a
taking
problem.
out his notebook at lightning fast speed.
And like if someone talks to you, someone immediately just pulls them away and gives them a card being like, the director cannot be spoken to. You can, the director will speak
it's
to
so
you.
the- it's
Please
so the
report
other way
straight to
around.
HR.
I'm just like too much of a pussycat, actually, I think. Actually, I'll tell you my scariest moment on with an actor on set was like, no, there are two. It wasn't scary, but once I was rehearsing this scene with Nicole Kidman on Golden Compass, right?
Sure.
And was like doing this
Well-known
and that.
actress.
And Nicole looked at me and she said, "No, it's got to be clever." And I was like, wow, the implication here seems to me that
Wait a
I'm
second,
not
if I-
clever.
Good
I'm being
Kidman
clever.
impression too.
Mhm.
And then there was when Sir Ben Kingsley,
Sure.
whom I love, first day on a shooting Operation Finale, asked me or summoned me to his green room, and he looked at me with a very scary kind of like sexy beast-ish
Right.
kind of
Uh-huh.
feeling.
No, yes,
And-
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and he's also playing Eichmann in your movie.
Yeah,
He
he
is.
He's like
was.
fucking
Right.
terrifying.
He's playing, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "I think I have a feeling that you do not want me to surprise you." And I was like,
Jesus.
like, no, I think that'd be great.
Man,
mean,
I
I'm
love
very open to
surprises.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I went into a bit of a cold sweat. And he said, because if I am the most disliked person on this set, I don't give a donut. And I said, well, I don't see why you should be. There's no reason for that to be the case. Everything's going to be fine, basically.
Right. That's throwing down quite a marker on day one as well.
I was like,
right?
oh God.
Was he the most disliked person on this?
No. Actually, by the end of it, once I think he realized that we knew what we were doing and that he was not in kind of one of these programmers where he's sort of thrown to the wolves. No, it was great. And he was lovely and he would do anything.
I remember
that
seeing
was,
Oscar Isaac was the most despised. Too hot. Everyone's just like,
I know. I was like, I'm too attracted to you.
Exactly.
You know, this is just not going to
Where
work.
does this guy get off being such a cutie pie?
What a fucking dreamboat. Can we talk about the Julia Roberts thing?
Yeah, if you want to talk about the
I
Julia
just think it's
Roberts thing.
fascinating,
I know.
this
I
little
always try
anecdote.
and just sort of get. But
No,
yes,
yeah.
Frances McDormand, of course, said that the final two choices were Frances McDormand and Kelly Lynch, according to Nancy Nainer. Kelly
And
Lynch,
Lynch-
a bit of a forgotten early 90s star.
Right, but was on a bit of a roll and slots
Roadhouse.
more obviously into this type of part.
She's in Cocktail. She's very good in Drugstore Cowboy.
Roadhouse.
Mhm.
And she's in Roadhouse, of course. But the studio was pushing for Julia Roberts. This is Pretty Woman release, is my guess.
Right.
So, but she's still, again, an Oscar nominee for Still
Has Still
Magnolias.
Magnolias.
She's in Mystic Pizza.
But what's the other element at play?
She and Liam had dated briefly and had broken up. And when they read the audition scene together, both actors had tears in their eyes. It was so intimate right after her agent called and said she should maybe be taken out of consideration.
It's too raw for her.
It was too much.
But there was-
fascinating to
right.
think about. though.
Especially when Raimi's like, I wanted to build this love story that like you actually cared about. The idea of them like watching these two actors walk in with tears in their eyes and go like straight into the depths of feeling, they must have been like, holy
But
fucking
like
shit.
honestly,
Right.
when I hear that, I'm like, shit, I want to see that.
I
Like,
do too.
Give me
Yeah.
that, because Frances McDormand is fine in this movie, but it's probably like the worst Frances McDormand performance of all time in a way,
Yeah,
where you're kind of like, yeah, she's pretty
Wait,
good.
yeah.
Like
I sense her discomfort in this movie.
she just
I
doesn't
don't
have
think
a
it's a
lot
bad
to do.
performance, but yes, it's just it does feel like the one where she realizes she learns exactly what kind of actor she is by doing this and learning what she doesn't
Right.
want to be.
She's giving a melodrama
Yes.
performance, right?
Which, to her point, makes sense. She's like, if this movie is this bombastic around me, I'm not going to go small. I'm not going to go intimate.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Neeson, though, is just like so properly dialed in. It's kind of incredible. And it's like you think about he was a guy who was a little bit known, but wasn't a movie star and wasn't a leading man at this point. He is about to be Oscar Schindler. He is
Yeah,
about
he's
to
a-
be Mr.
well,
Gravitas.
Right, but that's still 3 years off. He'd been in this movie, The Good Mother, which is the Leonard Nimoy movie. Of
An
course.
insane movie. Do you know what the premise of that movie
We've
is?
talked about it.
We've
on this
talked about it. It's
podcast.
insane.
We've talked about it on this podcast.
Yes.
He was in a movie called Next of Kin that I think was sort of like a solid thriller. But
He's
yeah,
in
he's
Excalibur, right? I mean, the smaller
but he's like a
parts.
baby in
No,
that.
I know.
Yeah,
That's
like
right.
He's
that's
got like baby roles. Yeah.
Next of Kin, of course, is a Swayze.
And he's in the Deadpool. Is that right? He's in one of the Dirty
Is he in one of
Harrys, right?
those?
Yeah.
He's in let's see.
Is the
He's in
Deadpool the one where is there an actual
Yes.
pool with like a thing that goes over the pool? And no, that's the drowning pool.
That's the drowning pool. The Deadpool is, someone's betting on killing
Right,
cops,
right.
and so Dirty
Right.
Harry is going to shoot them.
Right. They'll be in the Deadpool.
He's in
with
that
his
zone
gun.
that I think studios liked for movies of this budget level, where it's just like, that's a face that people have seen before. He doesn't cost us too much money, but audiences will feel a little bit comfortable. And he's got leading man chops. He's handsome.
Mhm.
But
As
we
Neeson
don't have to
says-
pay. Yeah.
The script appealed to the little boy in me because I know it would have been something I would have loved to seen at a Saturday matinee growing up in Ireland with that little kid from the movie Belfast. He didn't say that
Yeah.
part. And it was, and also he says, and it was a big fat juicy lead in the movie. I'm
Right,
Liam Neeson in 1990. Who am I to
But
turn
what
this down?
works is that it doesn't feel like a craving calculation, even if he does like go like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, this is my entree into being the guy on the poster.
He certainly found this movie exhausting to make
I'm
because he had to
sure.
put a
Yes.
bunch of fucking makeup on his face all the time. It was a 60-day shoot.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
He's got to caper around quite
But-
a lot. He's
and
got
all
to
these
play crazy.
rainy
And-
setups.
And
Yeah.
he is apparently, his next film is a movie called The Big Man.
Never heard of it.
Liam Neeson playing a big man.
What they do, build small sets.
In which he played a bare knuckle boxer,
Right.
which was like being shot in Scotland. So he would like get up before filming Darkman and like do boxing preparation.
He would wake up at 3 a.m., box and train for 3 hours, then go to makeup chair at like 6 a.m. so that he could be on set at 9 a.m.
It's
Hmm.
fucking.
He said it was 5 hours for makeup. They got it down to 3 at some point. David.
Mhm.
You're a dad.
True. Father to a daughter.
You're a father to a daughter, to a boss baby. We all know that the rent is too damn high.
That's true.
But have you, as a dad, ever been too damn high?
Yeah, they've got this weed today that's, medical grade. It's a little
Dangerous
intense.
game.
It could be
Dangerous.
Yeah. I'm too old for this shit.
You don't have time to play reefer roulette.
No. Not when I'm looking to light up, because Dadgrass, I don't know if you know about these guys.
I don't, because I'm not a father.
They have revived the pleasure of the casual smoke. You can chill out without the stress. Okay? It's sort of, there's a lot of vintage vans we could leave in the vault, but weed of yesteryear isn't one of them. That's Dadgrass's whole thing. It's sort of an old school joint, mellows you out so you can chill like the cool kids used to do. And I used to be a cool kid.
I was going to say, does reading this copy make you feel older?
Yeah. In that my teenagehood is now an object of nostalgia? Yes, but however, I am older. What can I say?
You're a goddamn dad, and Dadgrass is legal, organic, smokable hemp that relaxes your body and mellows your mind. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that their 100% organic pre-rolled joints are very low in THC, but very high in CBD. So you can enjoy the effects of CBD while keeping a clear head. They've also got a tincture, a CBD tincture, if you want to avoid smoking entirely. Got the same high quality hemp. It's easy to dose. The effects come on smooth.
What I was going to say is that all Dadgrass products are federally legal for ages 18 and over, and it ships right to your door anywhere in the U.S. And it doesn't sound like you need to be a dad to order it.
No, you actually don't. You just need to be looking for a new buzz or a chill way to enjoy an old favorite. It's going to leave you in a euphoric mood.
And the kids love euphoric things these days. If I know anything, they're all about that euphoria.
They are all about that euphoria, but they should go back to the feeling of smoking weed in your friend's basement in 2001 or 2, which is, I feel like, what Dadgrass is kind of going for.
Yeah.
Right now, Dadgrass is offering our listeners 20% off your first order when you go to dadgrass.com/check. Go to dadgrass.com/check for 20% off your first order. That's dadgrass.com/check. So, but he does say the film is very dear to him to this day. And he's been in a lot of movies.
He's not doing like the little things that actors can do to say, like, I know I'm better in this movie, and you and I, audience member, know that this is horseshit.
That's
and
what
so
I love about it.
Yeah.
And
he's not winking.
No, it's but I think it's exactly what you said, David, that he's like, I would have loved this movie as a kid. I would have been hook, line, and sinker in on this. I want to give the performance that I wanted to see rather than being like, I'm fucking Liam Neeson. I'm a trained actor. And it's like, he knows exactly how silly to go, when to be scary. He understands the sort of like vocabulary of his poses. He just
That's some good monster work. Sound and physicality.
Yeah.
He
uses that
Raimi
fucking
says
wounded
he's got like a lot of Quasimodo in him.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
But I feel like all his posing, like when he's hunching and sort of lurching and the way he runs and everything, it's like he understands, like he looks like illustrations.
Now, Chris.
Yes.
The other actor we should briefly mention, main actor, is Larry Drake, who plays Durant.
Oh, yes.
Is that cigar chomping fucker?
That's
Hell
sure
yeah.
is. He's good. He's got kind of this Edward G. Robinson thing going on, which is I feel like what you're talking about. His hair is so interesting.
It's so
I kind of can't look away from this weird
it's just this
hair.
push everything forward. Everything is just perfectly in the same direction.
His bit with the cigar cutter is great villain stuff. It's simple, but it is a good kind of calling card behavior, right? It's kind of nasty. It's kind of old fashioned.
But look, there is a reason why. Like, people had been asking us, "Are you guys going to do the Darkman sequels on Patreon?" And we thought about it, and then we were like, "Does anyone like these, or is it just the titles?" Right? And it's like, "Die Darkman Die" is a funny title, but there's also just something so funny about being like, we didn't get Neeson back, we paid for Drake. It's now Larry Drake above the title.
Yep.
He's the biggest face on the poster, and the movie is subtitled The Return of Durant, as if Durant was like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. Like, this guy popped so fucking hard, the sequel's going to be all about him.
They do give him too much weight.
Yes.
Right.
The Return of Durant.
Also, I mean,
he's back.
So I think throughout the movie, he makes some really bad decisions, right?
Durant or Larry Drake? Durant, I think, definitely makes some bad decisions.
Durant should not fire missiles at police helicopters.
So Sam Raimi wanted it to be a flamethrower. And all the special effects guys were like, Sam, if there was a man hanging out of a helicopter with a flamethrower, the flame will engulf the entire helicopter because of the blades, and everyone will die. We're not even having a conversation.
Right,
about
that's not
this.
going to happen. Sure.
Right.
Would have been cool.
Would have been cool if it was animated.
You're
been
pro
cool.
flamethrower over missile launcher in general.
I can't answer that question.
Okay,
David.
it's like your favorite
that's
children.
crazy.
Yeah,
Right, right, right.
Serious?
Favorite
That's-
children. Sort of.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
No, but I'm
Larry
just thinking
Drake,
like the consequences of his actions are going to be pretty terrible one way or the other.
Yes.
In as much as somebody will have witnessed, right, this guy firing missiles at police helicopters,
Sure.
and no matter how nihilistic he's feeling at that stage, he cannot be reckoning his future very carefully at that point.
It is the one element of the movie that feels like it's in response to like the Stallone-ification of action movies. And I like it. I like the pulpiness of it, but it is funny that the rest of the movie is like happening in like warehouses and abandoned alleyways and whatever. And then you have this one just like
Very much in
bright
public.
daylight,
Yes.
middle of traffic.
Yeah.
There's
You're
a
right.
dark
It
man
is
hanging from a
incongruous.
helicopter and a guy with a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Right.
I also like that he has two commands to his pilot, and one of them is something like dip him, and the other one is whip him or something like that. Right? It's excellent. So the finger cutting things. I also thought, would the fingers be so well preserved in his little finger display case? Wouldn't they have been shriveled?
Well, he must have a
He's
guy.
got a bombing fluid.
He
or
must
Right,
have
maybe
a
a
guy.
paint him
when
with some formaldehyde.
After he's done it,
Yeah.
he takes them back.
Yeah.
He's got a guy,
Right.
or he does it
He
himself.
ziplocks them very carefully,
Okay.
and he's like, we got to get this to him in like the next
He's
hour.
kind of
or else it starts to
meticulous.
prune."
These
Yeah,
gangsters
fair
have
enough.
they all are, right? They've all got their looks.
I'll give Larry Drake a big compliment here.
Yeah.
I think
I think he's good in the film.
I think his strong his high point of the movie
Yeah.
when he's playing the two versions.
Right.
His performance as Neeson playing him is really fucking good.
He's having the most fun with that. Other
Yes.
people. Well, you know what? I like that long-haired guy. He's fun.
yeah.
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 It's always fun when they do that. But yes, no, you're right. Drake really thought about the difference.
He feels like the guy who was the actor who was playing the other guys.
Right.
Like the guy who plays Paulie. I was thinking. I wrote this note to myself. Like, what are his dreams? Like that actor. Like, what is
Yeah.
his? This is probably a big role for him, right? Maybe the biggest he's played.
Probably.
But what was he? What else?
Who
Does he want out of life?
Oh, sure.
The actor. He'll play heavies for his entire career, presumably.
Larry Drake?
No,
No,
the
sorry.
guy who plays Paulie, bald
Nicholas
guy.
Worth.
The first like body
With the
switch.
tattoo. Right.
Yeah. It's a lot of it's a lot of movies I haven't heard of without being rude.
Right.
But it's a lot of Thug One, Bull,
Right.
Mhm.
I bet he's
Spunts, Tucci,
Right.
Rhino. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of
these all
guys who
sound
sound like
pretty
heavies.
thuggy.
Yeah.
I bet he's dreaming of like Stickball or this childhood, something nostalgic.
Right.
Because he
Stickball.
looks like he's having a good rest.
Right.
He's dreaming of stickball.
Stickball.
He's
With
thinking
the
of the
neighborhood
movies.
kids.
To
This,
give-
this is the movie I'd want to see when I was a kid. He thinks that too, but Liam Neeson gets to say it.
To give people a sense of the plot of Darkman, in
Please.
case we haven't done a good enough job.
Dr.
Shine a light, if you will, David.
Yes.
A great name.
Incredible.
Peyton Westlake is a really good
Mhm.
comic book hero
Dr.
name.
Peyton
Dr.
Westlake.
Peyton Westlake.
That's the thing. Everything about this movie, you're like, he's making this up. This
Yeah,
feels like it's like
yeah.
pulled from the annals.
He's
Yeah.
trying to create synthetic skin, of course, much like Dr. Michael Morbius creates synthetic blood.
Right. But he
What's going
wants to
on?
help burn victims by creating synthetic skin
But
to
it's
graft.
always disintegrating.
What is it? The light.
After 99 minutes, they
What is
figure
it
out
about
that
the
it's
light?
if it's photosensitive,
Yes.
so you keep it in the dark. It
And
won't.
what's also really cool is everyone's surrounded by sick gear.
Yeah, their lab is very much a Ben Hosley environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
very cool
100%.
set design in my opinion, actually.
So cool.
And then in classic Sam Raimi style, they like throw Liam Neeson into every part of the set during
Yes.
the big like he gets set on fire sequence. The fucking I love the shot of him being slammed into the glass, pulled out over the next one,
Yeah.
pulled out over the next one, like that whole camera. I love that.
I mean,
the bad guys, when they do the things that they do, also they're very joyous in their evil.
Yes.
yeah,
right?
sure.
Which is
This isn't just a
remarkable,
job
right?
to them.
There are guys who are like doing jobs, but they
Yeah.
seem to even also and at the end, the big bad guy, even when he's doing things that to me seem like he should really be worrying about his future. Again, I'm worried about these bad guys.
You're right. You're being too parental. Yeah, you're like, come on, guys. Have you thought about next year retirement account?
Get a GD. Come on.
Yeah.
You're really on the edge of your entire dream being destroyed right now, and yet you are so wrapped up in. You're standing on the top of a building in construction with a bolt gun. This is not good. Whatever happened, this is not good for you. This is not a good result. But you're so enjoying shooting at Darkman. I think it's strange.
Chris, did you see the bolt gun? Did you consider the bolt gun?
Consider the bolt gun.
Because I agree, I don't like heights, but I'd be interested in trying it out.
It's funny. Raimi does a lot of scaffolding battles because he does that in Spider-Man 3 as well. And I feel like there's another movie.
I was going to say, No Way Home brought it back, but I do feel like there was a 10 to 15 year period where if you were making a superhero movie, it had to end on scaffolding.
Yeah.
You had to be at a high height in an abandoned
factory,
jumping
girders, building sets.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be on a steeple. You have to that was the big. There were no.
Well, that's
giant
the famous
portals in
Batman
the
story,
sky.
right? Where John Peters is like, it's ending in a church, and Burton's like, no, it's not. What? And he's like, I already built the church.
Right.
Get him up that church.
And motherfucker, you're going to the top floor.
And Burton's like, this isn't in the script. Why are they? And he's like, it doesn't matter. It's like you need a location. Right?
Dark Knight ends that way too.
Yeah, it does.
And I feel like that's the last of that, the original run of
Yeah.
your final set piece.
And people really complained about that in Dark Knight, where they were like, this action is muddy. I can't tell where anything is because it's just a bunch of girders.
X-Men, first X-Men ends in the Statue of Liberty.
Sure, it does really good action sequence. Actually.
Right. But then it did feel like weirdly a throwback that No Way Home is scaffolding around the Statue of Liberty.
Another one where it's barely explained why that's happening.
Reason not to have a lot of people around.
Yeah, of course. You get the civilians.
And also it looks cinematic.
Dark,
you get skyline behind you and all this shit. And then you always get to... People love to have bad guys fall from a great height.
Anyway.
Very good falling out of a window gag in this one, by the way. I thought they did that very well.
The bald guy.
The bald guy.
Yeah, that falls
sick.
It's really long. It takes a long time before. I don't know how they did it.
And it kind of doesn't look like a dummy at all.
No,
really.
I don't know what they did.
And the guy wasn't doing
Sam
the
Raimi
stuntman thing of overly gyrating his arms on the way down.
So Julie Hastings, his girlfriend, she's a lawyer. She's got this document that her boss...
What's it called? The memorandum?
The
Belisarius memorandum. That's like, we're going to rebuild the entire city or whatever.
It's just these little simple things that Raimi is just good at making sure he covers, where it's like, put the coffee cup on the paper.
The coffee,
and focus on, just give us one clear shot so it sticks in the back of our brain and we can shorthand get back to that later and make you put together the pieces.
Right, because this memo is at the lab. Durant and et al. Show up. They beat the shit out of Liam Neeson.
It's a memorandum that reveals we are bad guys. We like doing bad things. Please don't tell anyone about the bad stuff.
Right. Also, don't copy this. Also, PDFs don't exist.
Yeah. Also, use a coaster.
They really do RoboCop him, where it's kind of like, you're dead. Now, 15 more minutes. You know what I mean? They really go to town.
I think there's a fair amount of RoboCop in the DNA of this movie. Even you talking, Chris, about how joyous the goons are. That's a thing I really think of, RoboCop, if not pioneering, that all the bad guys in that movie fucking love being bad guys. They can't stop laughing as they're shooting people and shit.
And maybe it also shares the DNA of someone not actually terribly prepossessing, being considered a super dangerous bad guy. Who's Kermit? No, in RoboCop.
It's Kurtwood Smith.
Kurtwood Smith.
Right. Yeah. Right. The sort of banality of these guys.
Right. This guy who doesn't even look that scary to begin with.
Combined.
He'll get his foot in your ass.
Right. But yes. They're these insane, nihilistic hedonists.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt this, but leg gun guy. This is a fantastic guy. Okay,
this fucking guy.
It starts with establishing super bad guy.
It's a very fun opening scene. Right? We haven't touched on it. Yes.
Durant comes in with his guys who are not enough guys. They're all surrounded by guys with machine guns.
Right. The what's his name? Sorry, Eddie Black. That's the current big boss.
They make fun of this guy with the limp.
Right.
I do like Eddie Black's joke. I dated a lady with one leg. what happened. Had to break it off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
that's
It's
good.
2 comedy points.
Or it could have been like it was all just hollow at the end.
Well, there you go. Now we're just.
I want to see a
riffing.
Lino-rama.
He should have done a few.
Yeah, all the alts.
a few jokes.
But
Should've
yes,
done a run.
you like that.
And
This
then pull
opening
out, go,
scene.
what else?
What else?
My
Like-
favorite thing about this opening
okay,
scene.
let's see.
Okay, all right, hush. You two, be quiet.
Let's see if we
You
can make
finish
it.
your point about Gun Leg
Oh,
Man.
well, okay. So then it turns out that the man's fake leg is actually a machine gun.
Classic.
Which is somehow very quickly acquired off of the guy who then
They like
hops
take it
for
out
the rest
from
of the scene.
under him, pick it
Yeah.
up, and start fucking mowing people.
Now,
down.
notwithstanding the fact that you suddenly have a machine gun that they did not expect you to have,
Mm.
and that, okay, it may work better than you would think a machine gun leg would work. Everybody else still has shitloads of machine guns
Sure.
and rocket launchers and everything, but they seem to be so stunned by
Yeah,
this
they can't get over it.
turn, by this gestalt shift,
You never
that they
recover.
cannot defend themselves
Yeah.
adequately against what then comes.
I do like that Eddie Black is like, okay, get him, and then a bunch of cars drive out of shipping containers out of nowhere.
Also,
though.
the
I do
guys
like
have
that
been
he
waiting
has,
in shipping
he
containers
has a
just in
backup.
case.
Yeah.
She's like, don't
Brilliant.
worry, there's guys in shipping containers.
But
I mean,
that-
if you're Sam Raimi and the studio is giving you $15
Right,
million
it's like,
to make
yeah,
this,
let's
you're
do
like,
it.
how many cars can I buy?
Right.
I had to blow up my own car twice, you know?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. He did.
Yeah.
But that guy, but the surprise of cars in shipping containers did not trump the surprise of leg, which turns into machine gun. And so somehow the game is just won. The moment
won.
that machine gun is deployed, it's all over.
It's psychological warfare.
Yeah.
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 So they burn burn acid and throw in a river.
They
Liam
murder
Neeson?
his assistant.
They do murder his poor
Right. They wrap him in
assistant.
saran wrap. He's just an assistant. Let him go. And they, in order to give him, what do they say? Breathing room or
Give
whatever.
him some air.
Right. They give him some air by shooting him in the head. The
Yeah, it's
indignant-
actually Ted Raimi who does it, and he seems nervous about it.
Yes.
It's actually a really well played scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
so
he's got
Ted
the gold
Raimi is the
gun.
guy who makes his first kill, who is then beloved
That's
by
Ted Raimi.
Durant.
Right.
Okay. Oh, that's
That's
okay.
Ted. Yeah.
But he doesn't die. Jenny Agutter,
Yes.
Agutter, whatever. Instead, he's recovered from the river, and she's just like, "Great, new process. He'll feel no pain. We'll snip his,
Well, hold on.
adrenal glands." or
Very,
whatever.
very quickly, just because I wanted to shout out, like, sort of just this moment where, like kind of quickly passing by, but just because it made me excited and illustrates why I think Sam Raimi rules as a director.
Mhm.
So I just wrote it down. So, okay. The flying burnt ass body, silly, fun.
Fun.
Mhm.
Right?
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
out of the fucking building, you
Yeah.
know, into the
Yeah.
river, splash.
Yeah.
Okay, fade to her like standing out in the street, and it turns to the funeral. Right, fun, kind of just like little
Match
interesting.
dissolve. Very nice match dissolve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes right to then the gravedigger making a joke about the guy being blown to bits. That's just like a
Right.
kind of
You
a
just
bunch
like
of
the
his
rapid
like.
fire.
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
love this like goofy
Mhm.
filmmaking, but it's like economical and like interesting. It just like I don't know. I just like that little 1 minute little part of the movie. I think was just
Greatest comic
cool.
grave digger since Hamlet.
Good call.
You think so?
Good call.
Trying to think if there's
Yeah.
any competitors there.
Yeah, you read in the reviews at the time, and
There's
it's
grave diggers. That's a rap.
the critics are
hard
starting to
rap
see more
group.
movies like this. They're like, this is the first time someone's made something that actually feels and looks like a comic book.
Right.
And I think part of it is things like the transition of McDormand to the
Mhm.
funeral
Right,
and
the
whatever.
speed of it.
But
yeah.
also he's leaning into the artificiality of his techniques
Yep.
in the same way that you have a guy who's drawing his 80th issue of whatever, and it's like, how do I keep this fresh for myself? What are some cool transitions and devices I can use? And I feel like all the composite shots in this movie, anytime they're in front of what is clearly an artificial background, they're like heightening it. Like they're making it look sort of pop arty rather than trying to create a seamless effect.
Yeah, it's painterly. That's
Yes.
all I wrote down.
all
Yes.
true. I just also think it's really funny that he wakes up after everything we've just described.
Yeah.
Because it's, what is this? Like 20 minutes before
Yeah.
he's Darkman? You know,
Correct.
he wakes up and it's like, okay, so I can't feel pain.
Mhm.
I have no face.
He's attached to a Samo cam, essentially. We talked about this in the Evil Dead episodes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
that
yeah,
spinning
yeah.
cross that they would
Yeah.
put.
Right.
But he's right. They're just spinning them all
But-
round.
I'm just trying to say, like, he's like, if Darkman, if you were to sit down at this
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
write it down. I can't feel pain.
Yeah.
I'm going insane.
Yeah.
I have no face.
Everyone thinks I'm dead.
Everyone thinks I've been left for dead.
Yeah.
I can make faces with a computer.
Yeah.
I'm good at impressions.
It's my life's work.
Yeah, but then there's the added wrinkle of
Yes.
like,
Good voice
I'm
work.
not so
I'm
bad
pretty
with
good.
the impressions.
I'm a pretty quick study.
So do you think he should have taken it on the road?
I'm just saying,
He
I
could have
love
been
that.
like Rich
He
Little
puts
one
all that
better.
together.
Instead, he just like got stuck up on revenge. Ridiculous.
Because it's, it's always those comic books, like when you're like, I'm going to read detective comics, blah,
Right,
where it's like,
right.
and it's like Batman, it's like 2 pages. Where
Yeah.
they're just sort of like, of course his parents died, but he was rich and he didn't like bats.
He saw
or
Bat one time.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, whatever, man. He's Batman. I get it.
let him be
Like
Batman.
the language of those comics is just has to be fast. So you're
Right.
just by panel 8, they're like, I've got it. I'll be
Yeah.
Spider-Man. And
Right.
you're like, okay. But this where he's just like, I guess I should. And we're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
should. I
You
buy
should
that.
rebuild
Don't have a
the
lot of
lab.
options.
Be
What
like
can I
an
do?
insane master of disguise who also like brutalizes people.
I know.
Sure, that's good.
I
Yeah.
just the specificity of
And there's a time limit. Like, you got to keep
Well,
watching
and
the
also
clock.
but there's another time constraint, which is that in order to make a Liam Neeson face, it takes 512 hours.
Mm.
Whereas to make any other face that he needs to make, it
Right.
takes less.
now, to be fair, Liam Neeson has a pretty particular face.
Okay, no,
very
fair enough.
particular,
I thought
very
it
particular
was-
set of face.
I thought it was that they were doing the
A
whole
very particular
body,
set of
so I was assuming it was taking all that extra time for his
Oh.
huge hog.
Oh, well,
Okay.
this is
Well,
notorious.
every time Neeson's discussed
Notoriously.
on this podcast,
Chance Dickinson described it
It
as
was
an
gonna
Evian
happen.
bottle.
Someone scratching the
All right.
fucking
Now I'm gonna
bingo card. Of
Chris
that
Chris
shit.
has to go.
Now I'm going to tell a story in which someone once reported to me that his penis had been described like a dead German hanging out a window.
Why German?
And then, I don't know, but for some reason, when my friend, well, I guess it was like World War II, he
Sure,
maybe was a
Schindler's
sniper
List, right.
who had like snapped himself into some kind of harness.
Yeah,
and
no,
so-
I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
But then also, this is where Athena comes in as well, which is the connection is actually not dirty.
Okay.
For some reason, she was at the end of the table when this was being
Described to
discussed,
you.
but
Uh-huh.
not clearly a little too loudly. And then for a while, she kept on singing. Dead German hanging at the window. I'm a dead German hanging at
So
the
she
window.
just picked up on the image of the dead.
She didn't get
Germans,
the
the
double
sound of it.
entendre.
No,
Right,
she
right,
did not.
Right.
that is now that will haunt me.
Yeah, absolutely. David.
Uh-huh.
David,
Yeah.
you're successful.
I am successful. Oh, that's nice of you to say. I don't know if that's true, but sure.
You're successful in business for one clear reason.
What's that?
Because you love doing the research.
I do love to do the research.
You're a connoisseur of context.
I like to dig into the context.
You do, whether that context is the state of the market or the next right hire. But you're low on hours, and you still want to do a great job on hiring. I ask, who do you go to for help, David?
Here's what I say. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. That's what I always say.
That is always what you say. It is kind of your catchphrase.
Because Indeed is the hiring partner. It's the hiring partner.
Yes.
You can attract, interview, and hire all in one place.
Of
It's
course.
the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay.
Wow.
And you won't have to spend hours on multiple sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills. You have one powerful hiring partner. It helps you do it all. And it's with you every step of the hiring process. Did you know that?
I actually, honestly, I didn't know that.
Like, they've got Instant Match, which means as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates. They have resumes that match your description, and you can invite them to apply right away. And you only pay for quality applicants that meet your must-have requirements.
Wow.
You know, one thing I love about them, it makes hiring in one place all so easy because Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all the other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Keep making me feel stupid by telling me these things I should have known.
Such as that Indeed is used by 3 million businesses worldwide, and that ComScore says it's the #1 job site worldwide.
I knew none of this. I'm a fool.
Well, you can start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/check. Offer valid through April 30th. Go to Indeed.com/check to claim your $75 credit before April 30th. Indeed.com/check. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
You need Indeed. Liam Neeson, yes. I do.
Liam Neeson, yes.
Oh, no. I know what I was going to say. You were talking about how long it takes for him to
face.
make the
Yeah.
mask. This thing where they built the machine that pretty much could do it in real time on camera.
Exactly. Could at least do right. If he
Right.
wanted it to be just about as realistic as it could
How
be.
about
like a
was like-
3D printer.
How
Amazing.
great would it be if we could hire magicians and come up with a way to let this play out so that Sam can cover it and shoot it however he wants and use as much of the footage as they want? So essentially, like everything up to the finishing of the mask could happen continuously, right?
Yeah.
And then they would swap out a different thing.
The special effects are really good. In
They're
this, I
really
think.
good.
They are really good, especially because it's not that
It's
expensive
No,
a movie.
It's
but
pre-digital. I mean, in one sense, it's digital because you see the computer images, but really,
Right.
it's pre-CGI.
Yeah.
But
So-
you know what I like about this too? Like, the Mission Impossible franchise has probably become our preeminent mask franchise, right?
famous.
Right. And there, they just always use the trick of we swap out an actor and they just look perfect. And then at some point, you
Except for the
reveal-
Mhm.
De Palma movie. The De Palma movie, they made the mask.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But apart from that, mostly they
No,
did it.
but
Yeah.
yes. The thing I like in this is like when Darkman is pretending to be Durant, they put makeup on Larry Drake to make him look a little
wrong.
artificial.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
just a
which is
little
great,
bit
which is
wrong.
awesome.
Like the color's a little bit off. His eyes are a little too
What
bright.
about when they do the two mask though? That's cool too.
that
That's a
fucking
good-
Where the
that's
first
a good
mask comes
gag.
off and then the second mask has the tape under
On the
the
mouth.
Yeah.
right? Because it's the first mask
Right.
looks fake. Then he takes it off. It's a perfect Neeson with the tape underneath, the
Like instead of
lips.
teeth,
Mhm.
essentially. Right. It's
Right.
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
And then there's the mask. It fucking rules.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always like that with masks.
Can I
The
tell a true
classic, I
true
shot
Hollywood
my guy.
story?
Please.
True Hollywood story look-alike thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to tell this as quickly as possible. Okay. So back when I was a younger person, I would occasionally look like Christopher Reeve.
yes.
Reeves,
Reeves.
right?
Yeah, what a burden.
I remember.
I know, you poor motherfucker.
So I remember when I bought my first house ever in Los Angeles. Right, it had a jacuzzi, and I inherited the pool guy who would come to the
Damn.
jacuzzi.
I
Okay.
want to
So this guy
live in that
shows
house.
up one day, and I go out to
Christopher
say,
Reeve looking motherfucker. with
and
a
I
hot
say,
tub.
I say, hey, oh hi, thanks. My name's Chris. How are you? And he looked at me strangely. And so this was after Chris Reeves had this, terrible accident.
yeah.
yeah.
So he looked at me. He like I really gave him the willies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. And kind of went back later. And later I got the bill for his services, and it said Christopher Rivas, right? Because he was a Mexican guy who had spelled
Yes.
Reeves the way that he
Yes.
phonetically. And I realized this guy thought that I was Christopher Reeves,
Reeve.
but that
Yeah.
but that Christopher Reeve has been putting on
Yes.
this accident the entire
Right.
time.
It's-
It
it's
was
almost
all
like
a big
he
lie.
thought- you're
Darkman
right.
coming to fucking Frances
Right.
McDormand being like, I'm here, I'm fine.
Yep.
Right.
Which he does do.
Which he does do.
I'm not dead. I'm just wounded
That
and
must-
insane.
Yeah.
That must have been mind blowing. Where he's like, did he get better and no one
Yeah.
knows about it yet? Or is
Yeah,
this
this is
put
like a
on?
huge conspiracy.
Well, you
that's
know
been
what these
foisted on us.
Hollywood
Yeah.
folks, they're always pretending
Yeah,
to
yeah, they're
be
weird-ass.
injured and stuff. It's all
Okay, I
part
got
of the
one more thing. You
process.
can cut this out if this is too
No,
boring.
we'll keep
and
it in double.
long. Okay.
Don't
Okay.
say that. Alex will do it.
triple.
So then there's Christopher Reeves again.
Triples is
Once
best.
I
No.
hope I haven't told this on the podcast before, but actually the apartment that I rented before that, right? The cable guy came over to turn on the cable once, and he said like, "Hey, you know who you look like?" And I said, "Yeah." Sometimes you might say Christopher Reeve because people say that sometimes. Like, yeah, you really look like him. And he said, "You know what you should do? You should call up the studio and say." That you can keep on making Superman
I know
movies
you guys
because
are sweating this, but right.
Yeah.
I look
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think that would work. I don't think it'd be a good idea. That's not really what I do. Is like, no, you should really do that. And I was like, I mean, I guess, thanks, I guess, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that. Then he looked at me and said, man, it's sad when people give up on their dream. Man, it's sad when people give up on their dream. Man, it's sad when people give up on their dream.
He thinks he's like you want it. You don't have the guts, but
His
you
dream
want
became
to.
yours.
Yes.
And you were letting it down. You were lying to yourself.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No,
the
no,
flow of
no.
conversation.
Darkman.
No, I'm just trying to. I mean, obviously, then he is Darkman.
Right.
And he does find Julie, and he convinces her he was in a coma, not dead.
He sets up he gets an apartment, lab,
He
sort
puts-
of, work from home.
But I can only do a
sort of-
short hang.
Right. he puts Ted Raimi up a manhole and gets him knocked over by a car. That's
very
pretty fun.
cartoony. I mean, that's the
Very
thing McDormand
cartoony.
said is like, he would direct me and he'd be like, I want you to fall down and then spring back up like this. And he'd be like, Sam, that's not how
That's
bodies
how humans are.
And then you watch him do this with his brother, and it's like, clearly
actually,
he just
maybe
has
it
this
does.
little brother where it's like, hey, Ted, let someone pick you up by the legs and swing you around like you're fucking meat on a stick.
So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know that we need to go beat by beat on Darkman after that.
Well,
it's a lot of crime fighting and stuff, but
The thing
yeah,
I
what
like,
do you want
and I
to
think it's
focus on?
what the movie builds to is like, does this guy have superpowers like beyond, his ability with this technology? And it's like, no, it feels like the thing is this just kind of broke him, right?
He's got mega adrenaline power.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and he can't feel
And he
pain,
can't
and
feel
he's
pain. So
insane.
he's good at fighting.
But also he's like gone insane. Like it's this
Yes.
thing at the end of the movie where he's like, I'm a monster now.
Yeah.
I'm
He
like
goes
not a
loopy.
person. I don't think the same way.
Right.
I think another power that they're not they're not taking advantage of this as like an aspect of the character, like a detail, is that he's gotta stink.
He must smell
He
terrible.
must stink. I mean,
here's-
he's got open wounds.
I know.
You do
And those
have
bandages are
I was
like,
worried about secondary infection.
Yeah.
Because fine,
I
he
wouldn't
doesn't
want to
feel
be
pain, but-
touching.
I thought
Yeah.
a good little detail was when he becomes the bald guy, he sprays after shave. And I feel like to cover up
Right,
that he is
right.
rank as hell.
we don't see him in full fucked up face mode too many times.
No.
Obviously, most of
No.
he's bandaged.
But I do love the design.
it's so good.
Very
It's so
and it's
fucking
really
good.
nasty.
It's really
Like
really
the
nasty.
way that the muscles.
Yeah.
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 And to me, and
Exposed in
by
some
about the
mouth.
middle, I'm thinking, actually, this is a movie because once he starts dating Frances McDormand again and takes her on these weird dates, like
Very
at Carnival
weird
and stuff
day
like that,
dates.
like
Yeah.
not nice, quiet place.
Can't spend the night.
It's really about a guy who is afraid that his trauma. It's like psychologically speaking, someone who is afraid to show his weaknesses and trauma to his
Yes.
significant other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
I
it's
like
both
that.
that
Yes.
he's like, I don't think you'll still love me if you see the real me. And there's the physical level of it, which is obvious and surface level, but it also is this shit of like, he's like emotionally unbalanced now. Like he cannot control his rage.
Mhm.
He's a madman.
He's a madman. He's a Darkman.
He's gone mad.
He's a Darkman.
He is a dark man. That's true.
Yeah, I just think the circus scene, not the circus, but the carnival.
Yeah.
Is just like the
that shot of
highlight
him with the thing.
Well,
yeah,
that
yeah.
fucking shot. That
which I feel like has kind of become the Darkman image.
yes.
In a weird way online, where people are like, do people know about this movie? Like, I've seen that image passed
It's
around
just
a
like
lot.
what incredible fucking expressionist is filmmaking that just feels like a weird Dicko splash page or something, you
Mhm.
know?
Absolutely.
But also just the bizarreness of that scene, Neeson's performance, like him understanding there is comedy to this, and the comedy comes from me giving this the absolute greatest amount of Neeson gravitas. And doing it in this surrounding, this incongruous setting with this guy over this elephant, and then the graphics behind me, like amping it up even more. What you're looking at me askance.
It makes sense that he's Darkman
Yeah, he is Darkman.
because he needs to be in the dark.
Dr. Peyton West.
Mhm.
He's out at night, if you will.
It's just weird that Batman's Batman. Bats are like this big.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like there was only like a few superheroes, and the guy
Do you
was like,
really
"I'm
wanna-
nailing bats."
It wasn't
now.
right.
Do you want to go down this road, David?
It's just weird that it's like they're bat. You know, I don't like bats.
Yeah.
I mean, I admire them or whatever. But like, if there was a
Yeah.
bat coming at me, I would also go like, ugh.
Do you know who's also a Batman?
Who?
Dr. Michael Morbius. We don't say this
Mm.
enough. People like to describe him as a living vampire, but you watch that movie, he's kind of more of a bat man. He is a
Mm,
literal
yeah.
bat
And
man.
Batman doesn't ever use echolocation, does he? He doesn't
Well,
squeak.
you know, Nolan has
Should've.
him.
Dr.
do
Michael
it.
Morbius fucking does.
Yeah.
Dr. Michael Morbius, there's so many shots where they zoom in on his ears and the little hairs like prick up in his ears.
They
and get
do
bigger.
that.
I missed that trick.
He's got
Um,
Morbius hearing.
But you know, in the Dark Knight, Nolan has Batman have this like sonar device.
Oh, yeah.
Remember,
Okay.
which was kind of.
It's a
I
good
know you
bit.
don't love this, and you know, actually, Val Kilmer's Batman in Batman and Batman Forever uses a sonar thing once.
He
Oh,
doesn't do
yes.
it with his own voice. He was like,
That would be cool if he had to go like.
What if
like,
what if that's Pattinson's big note on a sequel? Like he comes in and he's like, okay,
"Oh, it's
we,
a real bat."
right now I'm gonna do
I'm
the
full
eating.
bat.
At least one Batman has slept upside down, right? I'm not misremembering that.
Yes, that's the Keaton bit.
Yeah,
Does he?
I'm trying to
Yes.
think.
Or is
I'm
that
trying-
not like a yogic thing to send
No, it's
blood to his brain.
I mean, maybe, but it's a fucking gag. I loved it in the first Burton movie. Vicky sleeps over and she wakes up in the middle of the night and he's not there, and she looks and he's hanging upside down by his feet on the bedpost. It rules.
Yes, it does rule.
Yeah.
Pattinson should do that shit. Anyway, I'm sorry for bringing up Batman. Darkman. What else does Darkman do?
Can we
There's
do-
the elephant. What?
No, I was just gonna say, can we do a full sort of fashion rundown of the look, Ben? Because I just think there are a lot of things going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull up his entire.
Right. I'm going to pull him up too. Because I think right off the bat, the bandages
Yes.
are great.
Right.
They're so
Very Phantom of the
dirty
Opera, but
and they start
but
getting
more
raggedy.
DIY, right? And a
Oh,
little
yeah.
mummy.
The
little
other
mummy.
character he's kind of riffing on here is the unknown soldier.
Sure,
Who's the
right?
DC
The return
character.
of Martin Gare,
right,
type
right.
thing,
Who had a similar
Right.
look with the bandages. And
He's
it was the
got the
same thing of like
bandages, yeah.
this guy who was assumed dead and can take on different identities. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously,
Mhm.
bandage is crucial. Now, next he's got a hat. He's
But
got a
let's
fedora.
also just say, like, the layout of the bandages is really good, Ben. Like you were
Yeah.
saying, like it's just sort of like it's wrapped around the head, the eyes are exposed, and then it's like it's
and there's a nose bridge
Right.
bandage.
It's-
yeah.
Right.
it-
yeah. It brings
yeah.
up kind of just like one, like sort of like narrower strap up his nose. And
He's
then
also
it's
got him on the
really-
hands. He's
Yes.
got
Right.
sometimes he has
bandaged
leather
hands.
gloves, but he also looks cool with fucking mummy hands.
And they're all like, yeah, dangly.
He doesn't
and, like,
steal new bandages. He doesn't
dreadlocky.
replace his bandage. He doesn't like.
Are you worried
No.
about the dressing?
I'm
here?
also worried a little bit. Like you should have some antibiotic.
they
cream.
get
sores.
worse the
Yeah.
longer the movie goes on. Like they look rancid. But I think the lines of the bandages are really good. And then as he fights more and the bandages come undone, whenever he has that sort of half bandaged look, like anytime you see another inch of his face exposed,
It's worse.
it's always just well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great long trench coat.
Yeah. Let's talk about this.
Especially in the daytime when he's on the roof, he
Yes.
pops.
Right.
What do you call this thing on this coat where it's like it's got the weird shoulder thing? Do you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I do. It's
That
like
goes
the,
around
like
the
the
back.
cape thing.
Yeah, it's like
Isn't it an Inniskillen?
it's
Is that like what Sherlock Holmes had? Isn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
correct. I don't
Right.
remember the exact term, but it is for like the a trench coat type
Yes.
of coat. Yes.
Right.
They have those sometimes.
jet black.
Yep.
Like
jet black.
this bright red Oxford shirt underneath.
Mhm.
Right.
And then how do you top it off, Ben? A little tilted fedora.
Yeah, a little
Nice
hat.
hat.
Yeah, of course.
Big hat,
and
actually.
sometimes switch it out for
Keep out
a
of the sun.
metal fucking funnel.
Yeah.
A rusty metal funnel.
And do a little dance for a monkey.
Do you think that's why Durant hates him? Because Durant really needs a hat
Yeah.
for his weird little haircut. And he's like, this fucker's got a great hat.
And Durant describes it as my weird little haircut. Get me a fucking hat for this weird little haircut.
I know we talked about the teeth already. Also, I like just the one eye
Yes.
being like more fucked up.
Yeah.
And his skin kind
Right.
of like
Wait,
it-
is there
it-
something up with him? Is
yeah.
he okay?
He got pushed into goo and then
It-
exploded.
But no,
and
it's-
tossed in the fucking
it's
river.
that Phantom of
His
the Opera
teeth look
thing. Yeah.
terrible when he's Darkman, but then
Yeah.
when he is Liam Neeson
Perfect.
again, he brushes his teeth properly, I guess,
right.
and then somehow they become.
It's a fair
Gross
question. like, has he
I
making new
want to
teeth?
see the tooth machine.
It's
Right.
like popcorn. It's like,
Right.
like they one at a time, and you have to load them in.
The
Like,
teeth
I don't
only
know.
last 90 minutes. I love the gag whenever they do when the face is starting to deteriorate and they have whatever it is, like the sort of like the inflation of the prosthetics where the face
Yeah.
starts bubbling.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really
Look.
good. It's great the way they
Got very
dissolve.
bubbly
I actually
skin.
think the little amoeba that you see in the microscope, I think
Yes.
they achieve that effect really well.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it
it's
was-
unsettling whenever someone chases him and they're like, where'd the guy go? And they look on the ground and there's just flesh dissolving.
yeah.
I like Darkman.
Good guy.
I'm pro Frances McDormand, even though this is a sort of
Mhm.
you know what. I like Larry Drake.
Mhm.
Enjoy Ted Raimi.
Yeah.
Big fan of
think I know where
Eddie
you're going
Black,
with
played
this.
by Jesse Long. Colin Friels is Louis Strack Jr.
Little underwhelming.
Not doing a lot for me.
No.
No offense to the man.
Thankless, and I wonder, I wonder about an actor in his position at that point.
He's married to Judy Davis.
That's right.
He's an
They're
Australian
still
actor.
married.
He's an
They've been
Australian.
married longer than
He's
I've been
Australian.
alive. No, he's Scottish born, but Australian raised.
A lethal combination.
Yeah, I
no,
mean,
this is the kind of thing where he
It's
just
a poison
feels
pill, right? You get this. You get this.
and it's tough because he's like the final boss, and you're like, no, you aren't. Like
right.
You know,
I
like,
think it's hard to do something interesting with this part, but also
Yeah.
his performance is a little bit off the rack. And in
Mm.
order for this to have any juice, you kind of know from the moment he's set up, this guy's going to be a problem. He doesn't exist just to take Frances McDormand out on chase dates, right? There
Right.
has to be a reason he's in this movie.
Right.
You
And they're
want him
trying to hide it, but you're like, you can't hide
Well,
it.
to
unless
be a
it's
little
in,
more seductive and charming.
I like the way they did in Venom, where the other guy
Mm.
is actually kind of a great guy.
That is
Right.
one of the funniest things about Venom.
Yeah.
And that they keep it up in Venom 2 is really
Yeah.
funny. That
Yeah.
he's still around and he's like, all right, what's the matter with you?
Still
I'll
help you out.
Reed
Yeah.
Scott, you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent choice, I think.
Incredible choice.
This guy has the power of amazing balance too, because you find out at the very end
Very good
Yes.
on those
that
girders.
he used to go and work on building sites, and that he has amazing balance.
He's doing like pirouettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just,
I do obviously like Darkman killing him.
I love
like,
it.
because Strack tries to be like, you would never.
Right.
Come on. Like, you're a good
But
guy.
that's the thing.
and,
He's like,
and
when
yet,
you-
I don't see what he bases his "you would never do."
It's
such
true
a
because
thing.
Darkman seems
thing.
crazy. I would
Yeah.
definitely not
Yeah.
be like, come on, let me appeal to your rational heart.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
bandaged goo man.
Well,
Right.
but he's more even doing that provoking where it's like you
It's
don't
true.
have it in you because
Yeah.
you know that you're. And whereas I would have been all about like, listen, this is an important moment in your life right
Mhm.
now. You got to make a decision about who you're going to be from this point on.
Even though you're
yeah.
dangling like by one
Right.
foot,
Yeah,
you'd
what
still
kind
be
of
able
person
to,
are
you're
you?
dangling like
Right.
a Neeson.
Yeah.
It is the weird, like, I mean, we recorded our Simple Plan episode, which hasn't come out yet, but I was sort of comparing it to the Evil Dead movies in that all of them are about this sort of, and I think this is a theme with Raimi. It's like, is there a moment that can fundamentally break a person
Sure.
to the point of no return, whether it's an act of choice or a thing that happens to a traumatic thing,
Mm.
and like, how do you recover from that, and can your humanity be restored from that? These sort of like biblical sort of things that can be thrust upon a person. And it's interesting that Spider-Man is the ultimate, like, with great power comes great responsibility.
course, right.
Here's a guy who a thing happens to, and he constantly rises to the occasion.
Right.
He
Mhm.
struggles, he has internal drama,
But
but
that
he
is
ultimately
his thing.
has such a
his-
clear...
That's why Stan Lee is so brilliant with
Right.
that. Like, it's like,
Mm.
this guy's superpowered, and I'm like, love it. I would love to be superpowered.
Right.
And he's like, but you see what's important is he decides to use it like responsibly,
But-
and he decides to, not just use it frivolously.
Up until that point, almost every Raimi story had this sort of like Edgar Allan Poe-esque, like, and then they never recovered.
right.
Mhm.
And I do think there's this thing to Darkman where his final thing is he's like, no, what I just realized in letting that guy die is like, I'm fucking Darkman now.
He is Darkman.
I can't go back to
Mhm.
just pretending to be Dr.
He's
Peyton
everyone and no
Wesley.
one.
He's everyone and no one.
He's everywhere and nowhere.
We should mention that too. I know we've said this in other episodes, but originally when Raimi was setting this up, he was like, obviously it will star Bruce Campbell. Like, my assumption is I always work with Bruce Campbell.
Yes. So Bruce Campbell, of course, we
Very
sort of
early
talked
on in
about it
development. Yeah.
at a certain point, is like, Sam, I have to step out of the way. You are going to sabotage your career, insisting on me being the star of all your movies. Like, I
Yeah.
am not.
Mm.
But
This like incredibly noble, very touching friend thing.
Of
Where
course-
it gets repaid on the next movie with Army of Darkness.
But of course, Bruce Campbell does show up as you're referencing.
The final
at the end
show.
of this movie. He's the new
Yep.
Darkman, right?
Right.
He's his new face. It's kind of a cute little thing.
The Shemp
Yeah.
thing, because I know we've thrown this turnaround, but I haven't explained it. There's Raimi, obviously such a student of the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Shemp, the least loved stooge, died, and they had these unfinished shorts that they had to get guys,
Nice.
lookalikes, sort of like
Yep.
the Bela Lugosi dentist in Ed Wood, where you could shoot it from certain angles and fake the thing. And Raimi loved that so much in spotting the fake Shemp that he would, like on the Evil Dead movies, be like, we lost this actor, get someone else in there, put a wig on him, turn him from an angle, they're a fake Shemp, you fit him in. So you always see the credits.
Shemp. He's credited as the Shemp. Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell
is
is
at the end.
final
Yep.
Shemp.
Ah, that explains it. I was wondering.
Right. So
Yep.
he loves this idea of the quick slapdash double thrown in for a specific
Mhm.
insert shot or whatever it is. And then Darkman is essentially a movie about Shemps. And he does sort of like give Bruce the honorific of like,
Especially
you're the final Shemp.
with the thing of like you were saying, like, okay, you can't be my movie star forever.
Right.
But little right.
Now,
yeah.
did you see the additional thing
I
I think
did.
JJ put in
So
here?
Bruce Campbell's wife had just divorced him.
Uh-huh.
He said he was broke. He
Ugh.
didn't know what to do with himself. I guess it's 1990.
Mhm.
He's not quite in like Briscoe County Jr. yet,
No.
right? And so Sam is like, look, we're doing post on Darkman. I have all sorts of problems. We both love sound. The movie needed tons of sound effects. And so I made studio guy money voicing every criminal who fell to their death. He just would like scream his brains out for every, all of that.
I love that. I love their
And-
friendship. That's really.
Yeah.
There was a point where Sam was like, shit, I need Darkman to yell Julie. And he looked at him and said, get in the booth. So a lot of that.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the Darkman ADR is Campbell, and I said I think he did it for foreign countries as well.
Yeah, he did the television looping, whatever that means.
When they have to go over curse words.
Sure, right.
Right.
Wait, like Chris just did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a donut.
All right, so yeah, some of
Sugar.
the post-production
Monkey
stuff.
fighting.
Hanukkah.
Right. Universal insisted it be at least 95 minutes long, and Raimi was like, okay, you drama queens,
Yeah.
fine. I'll give you 10 more minutes. But they also brought in their own editor,
Mhm.
Bud Smith. They tried to get Sam out of the process and wanted to cut it into a romance movie.
Why are you making? I feel
Why am
like
I making?
that's less
Why did
work.
I just? Why did my
Chris,
body just
yeah.
go limp
Yeah.
as I heard about someone bringing in
it
an
seemed
editor?
like you were melting.
I
I
don't know. It's almost as though I remembered another.
It's sort of
life
this weird
passed
thing where
away.
like it didn't test amazing Sam's version,
Yeah.
but then the more Universal meddled with it, the test
Right.
scores were just
Right.
going down.
It was one of these things where they were like, it tested like in like the high 60s, low 70s or whatever. And they were
It's
like,
the 60s,
fuck,
yeah.
can we punch it up? So then they
Mhm.
bring
And
in
then
their
it's
own
like
guys,
in the
do a
20s.
cut.
We're in
It
the
goes to
50s.
50. And they're like, let's cut it some more, 40, 30. Like they were like, every single test went down and they would not give us back control of the movie. This is the fucking turn on this story that I cannot believe.
Robert Tapert, is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Without studio approval, cooked up a scheme to bring the film closer to the director's vision, which remained secret to the public for 30 years. This interview is from 2020. Tapert says, I don't mind saying this now. Sam will probably be unhappy, but the studio said there's nothing we can do to save this picture. Let's lock this awful cut.
Right.
Like,
So this insane thing, we've talked about this
Mhm.
before, but where like studio executive development people refuse to move backwards. So if you're like, we had a
Mhm.
movie that was testing
Right.
better 2 months
Yep.
ago.
Yep.
We refuse to release that earlier cut. We have to release the latest one, our lowest
which
testing
tests
thing.
worse,
And we're
right.
just deciding we're giving up and just that's what goes out.
So they
Yes.
locked picture.
He knew there was a deadline. Like they're going to lock picture tomorrow at 10 p.m. Or it has to be delivered by Friday at 9 a.m. or whatever it was.
So then Sam's editor, Bob Murawski.
Yes, who's like his editor through the Spider-Man movies, Drag Me to Hell. all
Yes,
that.
he's
Yeah.
not credited on this movie, obviously.
Yeah.
Said there's a much better movie we could do. So they spent 48 hours recutting the entire movie, added 9 minutes back in, things that preview audiences had maybe like, whatever, rejected.
Right. And
so
they were like,
Universal
who gives
was
a
like,
shit?
it's gotta
Trust our
go.
instincts. This is the best version of the movie.
They locked it. Universal, they didn't tell anybody. Universal comes to watch it after the mix. And they were like, what the fuck? You're not allowed to do this. And they were like, nothing to be done. Negative's been cut. Critic screenings are in 48 hours.
Mhm.
And Universal was like, okay. And they just had to release it.
But they also said Tom Pollock, who was the head of
Wow.
Universal at that time, like screamed at them, was like
Yeah.
fucking irate. Like they truly just like swapped out.
They did a switcheroo.
They did a
Amazing.
switcheroo and just made them watch it. And they were like, what the fuck happened? And like Ozymandias, they were like, the print went out yesterday. There's nothing
Exactly.
you can do.
Sam on his own, Tapert says, probably would not have done it, but I am that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't
to
do
do
it
it.
today physically.
No,
because-
you
right.
physically.
Yeah,
they,
so those 48 hours must have been gnarly,
Yeah.
first of all, because you're cutting actual film. This is pre-Avid.
Yeah.
If you did it today, you just go back to version
Right. Just be like,
7A,
right, call up
whatever.
Friday's
Yeah.
version. Right.
Yeah.
That is
Man.
right. You're saying like they actually are like there's film strip.
There is film
Yeah.
strip. It's gone.
Would you do
It's
it
out
just
there.
a little scissors like you did all that?
snip, snip? Would I?
Tape? Whatever it is they do in there.
Would I make that sound? Would
Yeah,
I-
sure.
would I
No, I
actually-
don't know. Yeah.
When you were starting, you were still editing on film, right?
No.
No?
Like American Pie was
American
not
Pie was
edited.
Avid, was a very slow Avid, but
Okay.
we still had to send out things like dissolves
Right.
to the lab for
Oh,
opticals.
that's funny.
Right.
Okay.
So you couldn't
Right.
it couldn't render the dissolves quickly enough.
Huh.
Hey, Larry Drake, Durant himself.
Sure.
I did a rewatch of the four theatrical films recently, and I
The four
forgot.
theatrical American Pie movies?
Correct?
Oh my
So
gosh.
Pie 2, Wedding Reunion.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Is Larry Drake and
Larry Jake plays the father of the girl that Jim sleeps with at the beginning of the movie, where the bit is first college hookup,
American
and
Pie
parent visiting
2.
day.
In American Pie 2.
Yes, I know you didn't
yeah,
direct this,
Yeah.
but I just
But Chris, you're a producer on that movie. You had a lot going on in that movie, right?
We
Yeah.
were in.
You had your fingers deep in the pie.
We were in London shooting About a Boy. My executive producing functions on that were minimal.
Director of that film was, of course, J.B. Rogers.
J.B. Rogers,
Right.
fantastic guy. Our first AD on American Pie.
I just think that's a funny sequence. It was the trailer for the movie.
I do remember that sequence.
That was
now.
the big
it's
one they
the
were
opening
selling
sequence.
it on.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Jim's like
Wow.
awkwardly trying to hook up for the first time since Michelle, and he's like really nervous
He's
about
in
it.
college.
And it's
right.
parent visiting day, and one by one,
And
everyone
Durant
walks
is
in.
there.
And Durant is the final
He
height
returns.
The return of
of him
Durant.
going and going, oh my word, what's happening here? I just like him as like irate, scary dad you don't want to see when you're in bed with a naked woman.
Well,
I remember I saw that movie in Old Forge, New York, which is in the Adirondacks, with like my cousins.
humble brag.
I must have been,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
So when is the American Pie 2? Is it 2001?
Yeah.
So I must have been 15.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just remember packed house.
Yeah.
We were on summer vacation or whatever.
Pandemonium.
Fucking pandemonium. Like that movie could have literally just been Stifler throwing up for 90 minutes and people would have just been like, this is great. It's just like that movie, I don't think hangs together perfectly. I would
I
say
like
in
it.
my memory, but
I liked it.
but
I'm
yeah.
not just saying this.
I know you didn't
I
make
think
this
one
movie,
is the
so it doesn't
best. I
matter.
think one is the best. As someone who watched all four in
We
one
should
evening.
say
I think
that.
I was recovering
Well,
from surgery, and for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to watch all 4 American Pies.
You were on strong painkillers.
Yes.
And
Chris, one
is the
was
best.
famously put on in my math class when I was 14 years old at
What?
the end of school when it was one of those days where it's like there's only a week
Yeah.
left of school.
oh my goodness.
And my math teacher, Mr. Naj, was a sweet, sweet man who I think let some kid talk him into American
It's
Pie.
like,
It's
what
cute.
were the kids
Yeah.
like?
It's about
Right.
kids.
Right. And then when it got to the scene where he comes twice in front of
Right.
Shannon Elizabeth, I
Yeah.
remember Mr. Naj
Yeah.
just doubled over laughing
Wow.
at his desk, being like, twice, like it got him. I'm just
You know what's
Very
funny?
fond
You
memory,
talk
yes.
about what a cultural phenomenon the movie was and how 2 was greeted with like our heroes have
Right.
returned from war.
Right,
We get to
right.
see our friends again,
Right.
right? 2 is like maybe the only other movie I can think of that does the Downton Abbey movie approach where the poster doesn't have actors' names above it. The poster
It
for
has
2
the
is
characters'
entire
names.
cast is Jim, Stifler, Nadia,
Right.
Jim's dad.
The
Like, it's just-
Shermanator.
It's ever it's just like
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
15 names as if it's Avengers Endgame, but it's
Have you,
just
have you
characters'
seen
names.
the Downton Abbey A New Era trailer?
Yes.
Do you know that Hugh Bonneville says you're the captain now to Michelle Dockery in that trailer?
Wow.
Have you picked up on that?
Yeah. What if I watch that and only that? Like I've never
Yeah,
seen an episode
do
of the
it.
show. I didn't see the first movie. What if I
You-
just go
You'll
into
get it.
And they're
I'll
like,
get it.
fine.
people, marketing shows that people like teams reuniting, especially if it's under a captain.
Right.
And they're
Yes.
like, okay, so can we fit that in?
Who can be the captain now?
Okay.
Barkat Opti should be part of
He
Downton
should be.
Abbey.
He should go to Downton.
And
That's-
Gene Hackman also.
That should be the
Yes.
end. The
And-
end
and
credits
Denzel.
cookie of Downton Abbey should be like her sitting in her captain's chair, putting on her hat, going like, "Okay, I think I'm finally
And then
settling
Barkat
into this
Opti is
role
in a-
as
in a
captain."
dinghy,
He
like,
walks out of the
rolling up.
shadows and he goes, "Excuse me, I'm the captain now."
The movie came out, Darkman.
Yeah.
Just going to wrap this up.
Sure.
In August, late August 1990. A classic spot for a movie like this. in
Yeah,
the early
absolutely.
90s.
Yeah.
It's like,
Came out,
okay.
at night or during the afternoon.
I think it came out at night. I don't
The
know.
first film to be given no matinees.
Open number one, $8 million.
Mhm.
Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
It was truly like a fuck you, Universal.
great.
You were
Yeah.
wrong. People
works.
wanted to see this.
Yeah.
Everyone made money. It got pretty good reviews. It spawned direct to video sequels, as
Mhm.
we've discussed. I do like Sam Raimi's quote here, which is, as a writer, I'm thrilled the Darkman character lives on. As a director, I'm horrified someone has taken my baby and made money selling him to children.
Mhm.
And as a producer, I think it's good for Universal to be doing this because they're taking their assets and making quality pictures for the video crowd.
Wow.
So it's like the 3 sides of Raimi, right?
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know.
very
I mean, how
diplomatic.
do you get checks on American Pie 8 or whatever? Like, because
No.
Raimi does. That's what he's saying. He's like, I can't deny I'm making money.
Adam Hers
No.
does, right? Is that
I
his
hope
name?
he does.
Yeah.
We get checks on American Pie 2
'Cause you
sometimes.
have
right,
the
but,
credit.
but not
Beyond
after that.
No.
You don't get Bandcamp, you don't get Girls Rule, you don't get Book of Love,
No.
you don't get Naked Mile.
No. We were
Does the
offered
pie lobby sort of kick back to you guys?
Cherry.
Yeah, every time
Blueberry.
Cherry, Big
every
Apple,
time someone has
rhubarb.
sex with a pie, I get 1 cent. So I encourage people to do that.
I will say I fucked a pie the other day and immediately got a Venmo request from you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like immediate. The second after I came, it was like right there.
These things are
come.
carefully
I have to
tracked.
give Chris a penny.
Anyway, all right, let's do the box office game for August 24th, 1990. Number 1 at the box office, Griffin, it's Darkman.
Darkman,
$8 million.
a
What do you think?
monster.
The final gross, 32.
Yeah. 50 worldwide.
Yeah, everyone's happy.
I think huge home video cable movie.
Like you said.
Yeah.
Big HBO movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Number 2 at the box office. It's the phenomenon of the summer. It's been out for 7 weeks. It's going to win 2 Oscars. Be nominated for Best Picture.
Is it Ghost?
It's Ghost.
Yeah.
What if there was a ghost?
I'll say this. I found Ghost to be a pretty good first Wordle guess.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I've been
Fair
using
enough.
Ghost a fair amount.
I use
recently.
Sonar.
I use
that's pretty good.
Bread.
I was using audio. And I was advised maybe you're using too many vowels.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
now
by the
Ghost-
way, do you remember the famously difficult one, Knoll, Knoll?
yeah.
That was nasty.
I got that in 2. baby.
All right.
Fucker.
I lucked
the
out
one
with
I-
my first guess.
I got beaten up by Watch, the one that beat up a lot of people. I did the classic like catch, match.
the
like,
worst.
I kept guessing other
I
actions.
had one of those the other day.
That is a tough one.
Yeah, where I had 4 out of 5, and the third one was the one I didn't have, and I was like, it could be 4 things, and I have 3 guesses left.
Ghost. What do you think of Ghost?
I really liked Ghost when I saw it, and I haven't seen it in 20 years.
I would
And
let
I
it-
know
let
now
30
I could be like, this
30
is
years.
super schlocko,
Yeah.
but you know what? He was a ghost.
Let
He-
it
we
lie.
loved him.
Remember it well.
Yeah.
I've never seen Ghost, and
You've
I've
never seen Ghost?
I've always had the suspicion that I would love it.
The thing with Ghost, in my opinion, and it's
Yeah.
been a while since I've seen it, is the stuff where he's a ghost and this sort of weird, like the subway train, like Patrick Swayze walking around
Yeah.
stuff, is pretty well done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird, creepy movie in ways. The romance stuff is so hard on sleeve, straightforward.
But I'm a
It's
snap
easy to mock.
and a contrarian and a goofball.
Tony Goldwyn in
And then,
the,
of course, Whoopi
in the
kills it.
Friels
You know,
role,
she's a lot of
right? The good looking
Tony Goldwyn is the
asshole
villain,
role.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He has a nasty death
Mm.
that kind of traumatized me as a kid. Spoiler alert. For
What happens to him?
Ghost.
Does he get ghosted?
He gets like impaled on a
He
broken
just keeps
window.
texting, and he's like, "Are you on
and
vacation or
impaling.
something?"
And then a bunch of ghosts grab him. It's cool.
Impaling also very big. Missing elevators, quicksand, impaling.
Yeah.
Impaling is a big
Yeah.
one. Yeah. All right. Number 3, speaking of ghosts, is another movie about death,
It's another movie about death.
starring a lot of hot young actors.
Flatliners.
I know this. Flatliners.
Yes, it's Flatliners.
Yes.
You somehow didn't hear Griff say it, so you
said
got
it
to
twice.
try
I said
it.
it twice.
Say
No, you got it. You
You're
got
so
it.
fast.
You got it
No, that's
honestly.
okay.
It's Flatliners.
No. Don't
But give me the
patronize
cast
I
of
thought I was in there.
Flatliners in 1990 with their feathered hair. Kiefer Sutherland. Julia Roberts.
Patrick in this as well?
No, Kevin Bacon,
Right.
Billy Baldwin, and the sexiest of them all, Oliver Platt. They're all flatlining.
They're all flatlining.
That's a Schumacher.
It was an epidemic in America. The kids today can't stop flatlining. They're calling it flatlining.
Have not seen Flatliners in a very long time. Don't really remember Flatliners. What do you think of Flatliners?
I think it was bad. I thought it was bad when I saw it.
You know what I watched recently? Another box check for me. St. Elmo's Fire, another Joel Schumacher movie. That movie is fucking terrible.
You gave that like a stinky 1 star on Letterboxd, right?
And like I think I did. And you watch it and you're like, I guess I can see how this was like a mini culture phenomenon or whatever, but it's so bad. It's like a real, like if I'm a Gen Xer, I'm like, what the fuck? This is the movie of my generation.
But then
We
you
were
and I both
terrible.
agree. Schumacher has movies that fully rule. He was a
100%.
very odd, inconsistent filmmaker.
Well,
but he
because
took big swings.
He's
Yeah.
encouraging a lot of big emotion, I think, on
Yeah.
set most of the time. And sometimes that matters.
Yeah.
And sometimes- All right, number 4 at the box office.
Mhm.
It's a legal thriller that I believe we discuss on a future episode that is really good. Major movie star.
It's a really good legal thriller
I
that
know
we
it.
discuss on a
I think I
future
know.
episode.
Firm. No?
It's not The Firm,
Damn it.
although that is a great film.
And it's not The Verdict. It's
not The Verdict.
Right.
I think you. By the way, you were right the other day. That is
One
an
of the greatest
amazing
movies.
film.
Yeah,
Okay.
unbelievable.
One of the greatest movies ever made.
It's a major
We
movie.
just discussed. I think we discussed it yesterday.
Yeah, we
My
did Simple
time bleeds together for
Plan yesterday. Oh, fuck. Is it Billy Bob in it? Is that why it came up?
Don't think so.
Is Pauly Shore in it?
No, it's really
Fuck.
it's probably the
Joking.
number one movie
That's
star.
my-
That was my
Great
other
legal thriller.
guess.
The number one movie star in America.
The number one movie star. It's A Few Good Men.
Not Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks.
Nope.
Who's the number one movie star?
Harrison Ford.
Oh, Presumed Innocent.
Presumed. Harrison Ford is being presumed innocent.
Yes, our
Until
guest brought
proven
this up.
guilty.
Is
It's a movie
that the
rolls.
one though where his wife removes
Correct.
a used
Correct.
condom?
Bonnie Bedelia
Yeah,
takes
okay.
his condom.
Cum burglars. That's a
That's a future joke.
yes.
That,
But yeah, Dennehy, Raul Julia.
That's a call
right.
forward for our listeners.
Classic. Harrison Ford's like, I had sex and I regret it. Movie.
Hashtag cum burglars. I want people building anticipation of
Number 5
What's
at the box office
Cumberland's
this
joke
week
going to be? Okay, sorry.
is a comedy
Mm.
written by someone we've discussed on this podcast.
Okay.
That is sort of famously, well, I'm not going to say more, but it stars two comedy icons.
And we discussed the writer.
Yeah.
The writer's not a performer.
No, she's a director, but she didn't direct this.
She's a director. She didn't direct this.
She did write it.
She did write it. It stars two comedy icons. It's not My Blue Heaven, is it?
It's My Blue Heaven. Steve Martin, Rick Moranis.
We brought her up today?
No, not today. I'm just saying we discussed her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Update, my wife and children were allowed into The Music Man, albeit late. So that's
okay.
Nice.
There you go. They missed the first number or whatever.
Yeah, but isn't that like one of the best ones? Isn't that Gary and Deanna?
Broadway, they always phone the first number.
Gary and Anna comes later.
All right.
You know, the 11 o'clock number. That's your...
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Right.
Shapoopy, you know.
The first number,
Trouble.
the first number in that
Here
show
River
is
City.
like, no. See, that's when he entered. I'm saying the first number in that show is something like, "This town is normal. Nothing
happens here. No
There are
music
no
meant to be
no
seen."
Lord personality."
They might do an encore.
Yeah.
They'll do the first song or something.
You could ask.
Maybe. Well, yeah, they could just be like,
Encore.
excuse me.
Hey,
Michael
one more
Bay style.
time.
Ask them to roll it back and do your favorite
From the
part.
top.
First number in The Music Man, of course, is Rock Island.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Hey,
This
look how fast you are on the
I
keyboard.
know it's insane.
Number
Jeez.
6 at the box office.
It's one of those numbers where they're like, "This is our town." It's fine. They miss
Okay,
it.
Number 6 at the box office is The Exorcist 3, which we will discuss on this fucking podcast one day. God damn it.
Great Exorcist 3 trivia
Mhm.
is that, okay, what famous Knicks player appears in The Exorcist 3?
Well, let's see. It's 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard
Patrick Ewing.
King.
Patrick Ewing
Okay.
plays the Angel of
Really?
Death in a dream sequence.
Oh, yes, I do know this.
Yeah,
I do know that.
I
That
just
does
took a
ring
guess.
bell.
because he was at
Because-
Georgetown at the time,
Yep.
of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. He was just truly the only 90s Knicks player I could name. I got lucky on that one, but now I remember.
Yeah, sometimes
Number
good
7
enough.
is Men at Work. Charlie Sheen and Emilio
Sure.
Estevez are at work.
I just want to call out, not to move backwards, but just because anytime I get the chance, I like to remind people.
I'd like to move forwards, but okay.
There was a movie written by Nora Ephron that is essentially a sequel to Goodfellas,
Yes,
in
it's-
which Steve
that is
Martin
what-
plays.
That was gonna be my clue. Is like
Yes.
it's kind of a
I know.
comedy companion to a movie. But
When you
then I
tell
was
people
like,
that,
well, then
they
you'll just-
cannot fucking believe it.
I know it's crazy. Number 8 at the box office,
And they come out the same year.
Number 8 at the box office is of course James Belushi, Charles Grodin. What are they doing?
Mr. Destiny? No.
No, they're taking care of business.
Taking care of business. That was the clue. What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Every day.
Number
Jim got to make
9.
so many comedies.
Kind of a forgotten, but when I was a kid, a cable classic in a way. Air America, Mel Gibson,
Oh,
and Robert Downey
yeah.
Jr.
Right.
Smuggling heroin by mistake, maybe into like South
Into
America, no, into
Laos?
Vietnam, into right, yeah.
Tim Thomerson.
Is that the director?
No, Tim Thomerson is a sort of B-movie actor.
Incredible name.
Usually has a kind of a handlebar mustache.
Tim Thomas.
Yes, he is in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tim Thomerson, well known for his work as Jack Death in the Trancers film series.
Yeah, well known.
Number 10, Nick Roeg's The Witches, terrified an entire generation.
A film that was remade perfectly.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your top 10. So it's a weird top 10
It's a
where
weird
it's
top 10.
like, you know, Ghost and Exorcist
Yeah.
and stuff where they're hanging out. Nothing really is new except for Darkman and Men at Work.
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of a
Darkman
dumbing
got to
Good
eat.
week to come out, right?
Yeah,
the
it's a
next
little
weekend,
soft.
Darkman gets overperformed.
the next weekend, Ghost gains
Jumps back.
33%
Gains,
and takes number 1 back.
Ghost was such a fucking
Darkman
phenomenon.
holds. Darkman
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
the exact
yeah.
same amount of money
Yeah. But Ghost just surges again. In week 6?
in week 8.
Fuck.
The week after that,
Yeah.
Ghost still on top in week
Yeah.
9. Finally, it's knocked off in week 10 by Postcards from the End.
Yeah. It's wild.
Anyway.
People just like, it was one of those things. I mean, it just doesn't really happen anymore in the same way.
Mm.
But the Titanic thing where people were just like, the emotions this movie makes me feel, I need to go back and experience it again. Right? Where it was like this element of
Yeah.
rewatchability of just like, this thing fucking grabbed my heart.
Mhm.
And I want to have that catharsis over and over and over again.
I like pottery.
People loved pottery in the 90s.
They did. And Unchained Melodies.
Yes. The melodies had been so chained for
Ah, I
decades
hate it.
leading up to
Yep.
it. These burdened melodies.
So burdened.
David has
Should we,
closed the laptop.
I've
Yeah, I
closed
think
the
we should
laptop.
end
Wrap
the
it up.
episode.
Yeah, you think we should end the episode?
Yeah, I think so.
Chain this melody.
Chain this melody. Chris.
You guys.
What a
thank,
guy.
Thank you for
What a
having
guy.
me.
What a guy. White
In
C, you're the best.
person.
Glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here. And what is the name of this place?
The Hausoleum.
How's it?
The Mausoleum?
The Hausoleum.
It's great to be here.
I just want to call out because we've talked about this on the show before, but for people who don't know, it's announced that you and your brother are going to make a movie about the production of Spanish Dracula.
We will.
Which is one of my favorite, like, fucking weird objects in film history, and which your grandmother was
My grandmother starred in it.
Yes.
My grandmother was a silent film actress who was recruited from Mexico.
Lupita Tovar?
Lupita Tovar, yes,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, thank you.
And was brought to America to be in silent films, and then, like in the movie The Artist, the talkies came along. She was shit out of luck, but she was dating my grandfather, who worked at Universal and convinced Carl Laemmle to make Spanish language movies on the sets of English language movies from midnight onwards, while the American crews weren't working.
It's like an incredible story and an amazing film.
That's a brilliant idea.
Right.
Too.
It is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Some
It's
people
money
say
saving,
And
too.
it seems like such an
better
obvious
Right.
thing.
than
That's
the
the thing,
Todd Browning
right.
movie because they actually like fixed its mistakes.
They
or
would
whatever, right?
watch
Like
the
that's sort of
film
the
They
legend.
could
day and then
see
they-
they could see dailies. Some people, especially me, my brother, and my uncle Pancho, say that.
No, but I think
Yes.
that's like the film had been lost for a while, and now it's back in like regular
Mhm.
circulation. It's easy to watch, and I think a lot of people believe that it's the superior film.
The weird thing about the Todd Browning movie is there's no music.
Mm.
Have you seen the Todd Browning movie?
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes,
like
yes,
I
yes.
went to a screening of it once, and there's no score.
There's the
Mm.
overture, the dun, 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 dun,
But
dun.
like,
but then
like,
once the movie starts,
there's
it's like deathly silent,
and it's
Yeah.
just
Mm.
kind of Dracula walking around, and you're like, this is weird without a score. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
It's unsettling.
but it is.
Yeah, it's,
right.
It's
And people have like
uncovered.
written scores for it post facto, but
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
that's different.
Anyway, I'm very excited to see it. I just feel like
I've never
that's
seen the Spanish version.
it's great. And I think that project is the kind of nerdy shit that fans of this show will be very excited to see.
Thank you. First, I'm going to make a horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a movie about a horror movie.
Go
But,
make your horror movie, and then make
I
your
will.
meta horror.
Are you
movie.
making the
Thank you,
vampire
guys.
movie with your brother? Is that
Yes,
You, okay,
yes, we'll
That's
be
cool.
back
Right.
together. It'll be from the guys who brought you American Pie.
good movie.
It's been it's been too much of a singular from a guy.
Do you
who
get
brought
money
you
if
American
someone
Pie.
says MILF?
I'm not sure if that wasn't already established, and I
I
think that would be
can't-
Adam Hers if he actually did that.
Did that movie invent MILF, or is it just like popularized?
I had
MILF?
this debate with someone the other day. I think it wasn't you. I think I've had this conversation with someone else in the last week.
All right, we don't
Gotta
need to
go-
talk about American
Go
Pie.
to the
I keep
Oxford
bringing it
English
up.
Dictionary and look up.
Chris has made a lot of good movies. I
Yes.
shouldn't keep making
Yeah, like
bringing it up.
literally just like is talking about this really like
I know, and I'm
interesting,
like, yeah, but
eloquent.
MILF.
But can we talk about
Yeah,
MILFs
MILF.
first?
Let's talk about your grandma
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
this.
Sorry,
No, it's great. It's
Thank
all
you for
great.
being
It's
here.
all
Blank
great. It's great to see
Blank
you.
check.
guys.
You're the best. You're such a good friend of the show, and
Yep.
we're always happy to have you on. Main feed or
doors
paywall.
always open.
Doors
When are you
always
back
open.
in
You don't have to wedge
NYC?
your foot in.
I don't. Maybe sometime in the summer.
Do you
Okay.
like Stanley Kubrick?
Dude, I like Stanley.
Do
you
you
fan of
like
that guy?
Stanley
He is a
Kubrick?
god.
Well, he won March Madness.
What do you got? Barry
What-
Lyndon?
What's your favorite?
Sure.
Is that your favorite?
Fucking, yeah.
It actually kind of is, yeah. And I also think it's probably an underappreciated one, so that won't probably block anybody else from some of the more like.
Chris, people are crawling all
Chris,
over.
we're
but
gonna-
noted.
Oh,
Chris-
they're on Barry Lyndon.
Chris,
No, I don't
not
know.
necessarily.
We're just
Necessarily.
we're just hearing everybody's opinion.
We're gonna tell you something wild the second we stop recording, but yes, look, let's have your reps talk to our reps. We'll enter negotiations on potential Barry Lyndon episode. We'll see if we can make the
How many
timetables
black and
match
white
up.
cookies does it take?
A fair amount, but you
Yeah.
brought a good box today.
It is good.
Thank you for being here, and thank you. And now I'm shifting my focus over to the person listening for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media, Alex Barron and AJ McKeon for our editing, Joe Bow and Pat Rounds for our artwork, JJ Birch, Nick Lariano for our research, and for the first time ever, a little bit of editorializing. What are you talking about, Sam? Just a little. What you talking about, Sam?
He editorialized about Robert Tapert as well.
I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
I liked it. JJ, again, a little saucy. Thank you to Leigh Montgomery and the Great American Novel for our theme song. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to all the nerdy things around the show that we do. And you can go to patreon.com/blankcheck for blank check special features where we're doing hashtag not all Batman movies that feature the Bartman. Or I guess, is Matrix on? I don't know where we are on the schedule. Whatever. Just listen. Go sign up. This got good stuff, including paywalled Chris Weitz episodes from the past. Twilight commentary I still think that's one of the best things we've done.
It's very good.
No,
I agree.
You should say, Griffin,
Yeah.
that we are still doing the Matrix.
Okay.
We're about to close out.
Resurrections.
But this month, our bonus episode, we're doing
Oh,
the
good
Evil
call.
Dead
We
remake.
did the Evil Dead remake.
Yes.
Right, which I think it's a fun episode. We talk a lot about sort of the state of horror remakes at that time and how things have shifted to Lego sequels, and talk a little bit about Ash versus the Evil Dead and all that sort of stuff. If you like the Evil Dead episodes, that's a fun thing to listen to. You can tune in next week as we go back to Ash with Army of Darkness. Guest Eva Anderson. It's a really fun episode. And as always,
Give me the pink fucking elephant.